Close your eyes, beloved traveler. Tonight, we will drift across time, carried by the whispers of 70 ancient traditions, each holding a secret vision of the afterlife. From hidden cults to great civilizations, humanity has always wondered where the soul journeys once the body rests. In this soft unfolding of stories, we walk through temples, deserts, forests, and oceans of myth. We follow the soul across rivers of light into starry heavens, and through shadowed caves where ancestors keep their watch. Let each story soothe your heart, wrapping you in the quiet comfort that death too is part of life's gentle rhythm. If these ancient stories bring you peace, let your spirit rest with us again. Subscribe to this channel for more journeys, and share in the comments where in the world your soul is listening from tonight. The night is quiet now. The air is soft and cool, like the breath of a gentle ocean. Above you, the stars are spread wide, countless and silver, resting upon the dark sky as though they, too, are waiting to guide you somewhere beyond. In the hush of this moment, imagine yourself standing before a vast horizon. The land around you is still, the earth feels timeless. Ahead, rising in the distance, stand great gates, tall, silent, shimmering faintly as though made of light and stone at once. They wait without words, patient as eternity itself. These are the gates that so many have spoken of across the ages. Not one culture, not one people alone, but countless voices, whispering of thresholds, portals, and doorways that the soul must cross when its journey here is done. Every gate is different, yet all are the same. A place where one world fades and another begins. Long ago, in the desert lands of the Nile, the people of Egypt spoke of such gates. When the body was laid to rest, they believed the soul would rise and walk through hidden halls beyond the stars. At each gate, a guardian would stand. The spirit would need to whisper words of truth, passwords carved into scrolls or painted on tomb walls so that the gate would open. One by one, the doors of eternity would swing wide, until at last, the soul reached the shining fields of peace. Elsewhere, under the shadow of Greek mountains, poets told of another passage. They imagined the river Styx, dark and endless, flowing between the land of the living and the land of the dead. To cross it, the soul would need a coin, placed carefully upon the body by loving hands. The ferryman waited in silence. When the payment was given, he rowed his boat through waters that shimmered like black glass. And at the far bank, gates stood waiting, carved from stone, heavy and solemn, leading into Hades' halls. And in the east, the ancient Vedic hymns spoke of paths of fire and light. The soul carried upward by sacred flame would find shining doors in the heavens. There, the ancestors stood waiting, gentle and radiant, ready to welcome the spirit home. The gates opened not by coin nor by guarded password, but by the purity of the soul's deeds. The doors of eternity were alive with light, reflecting the very essence of truth. Across every land, the story returns to gates. Golden gates, stone gates, doors of wood, doors of fire. Some stood at the end of rivers, others at the heart of mountains, others hidden within the stars. But always they marked a passage. Always they spoke of a threshold, the quiet moment when the soul moved beyond the veil of this life into another mystery. Imagine yourself now standing at such a threshold. The gates before you are tall and wide, yet they do not frighten you. They glow faintly, their surface moving like slow water, like moonlight caught in glass. When you step closer, you feel no weight, no fear, only calm, only stillness. The air here is different. It is hushed, like the inside of a temple. It smells of earth after rain, and of smoke from a distant sacred fire. The silence around the gates is not empty. It is full of memories, full of voices, full of all who have ever walked before. In some traditions, the gates were guarded by animals of spirit. A dog with shining eyes like the Egyptian Anubis stood watch at the doorways, or a two-headed hound, Cerberus, sat at the threshold of the Greek underworld, his gaze both fierce and protective. But to the soul that came gently, with truth in its heart, these guardians were not enemies. They were guides. They opened the way, watching with quiet care as the spirit passed through. In other tales, angels of light were the keepers. With wings like fire and eyes like dawn, they stood beside the shining doors. The gates glowed brighter in their presence, and their voices were like low music, soft as a lullaby. They did not ask for words. They did not ask for coins, only for the soul to step forward, without burden, without shadow, The doors would open wide and welcoming, and the soul would enter the realms of light. And in certain secret cults, whispered in caves or carried in the flicker of torchlight, initiates were taught that the gates were not outside at all. They were within. The body itself was the temple, and death was the unlocking of an inner door. When the spirit left, it opened those inner gates, and the soul walked into its own eternal halls. The image of gates is gentle because it speaks of passage. It is not an end, not a wall, but a doorway. It reminds the heart that there is more, always more. The world we see now is only one chamber, one courtyard, one step along a larger path, and beyond the gate there is another field, another sky, another life waiting like dawn after night. Close your eyes and picture it. You stand before the gates of eternity. Their light touches your skin, soft as candle glow. The ground beneath your feet feels steady, safe, familiar, even as you face the unknown. Your breath is calm. Your heart is light. The silence of the gates is not a silence of emptiness. It is the silence of deep rest, the silence of the earth at night, the silence of peace. When the doors open, there is no sound of creaking wood, no groan of iron. They open like petals of a flower. They open like the morning sky. And beyond them you see no shadow, only light, vast and endless, a light that holds every story, every soul, every memory. Some said that beyond the gates lay fields, fields of reeds, or fields of shining grain, where the soul would wander in eternal springtime. Others said a banquet waited, a table set with food that never ended, where ancestors and friends gathered to greet the newcomer. Some spoke of music, harps, flutes, soft drums, that filled the air beyond the gates, music that felt like a heartbeat of the universe itself. And some spoke of stars, millions upon millions, where each soul became a light shining forever in the night sky. No matter the image, the feeling was always the same. Beyond the gates, there was rest. Beyond the gates, there was home. As you drift now, imagine yourself stepping through. Your body feels lighter. Your thoughts grow quieter. You pass through the gates as though through a veil of mist. On the other side, the air is fresh, touched with fragrance like spring blossoms. The ground is soft like grass warmed by the sun. The sky glows in colors you have never seen, yet they feel familiar, like memories of childhood or dreams you once forgot. Here, there is no fear. Here, there is no weight of time. The soul feels free, gentle, cradled in the arms of eternity. The gates, though behind you now, never truly close. They are always open, always waiting, always ready to receive the next traveler who walks their way. The gates are not a prison, not a wall. They are the eternal welcome, the eternal threshold. Let the thought rest softly within you now, that when this life is done, there is a passage, there is a door, there is a light, there are guardians who care, ancestors who wait, music that welcomes, and fields that soothe. The silent gates of eternity do not end your story. They open it, they lead you onward, gently, into the next breath of existence. And so, as you drift tonight, let those gates rise in your imagination. Let them stand tall and calm, bathed in moonlight, shimmering with promise. See them not as something far away, but as something always near, like the horizon at dusk, always waiting at the edge of sight. They will be there when the time comes, and they will open as softly as sleep itself. Rest now. Breathe deeply. The gates are quiet, eternal, filled with peace. Your spirit is safe. Your heart is calm. And as the stars turn slowly above, you may close your eyes and drift. Let us leave the gates for now. They remain, steady and patient, waiting in the silence. We will return to them in dreams, in stories, in the gentle passing of time. For now, rest. The journey is long, and the night is kind. Now drift onward as the stars return. The night stretches wide, and the desert lies in silence. The stars above are countless, their light falling like silver dust upon the endless sand. The air is dry yet gentle, moving only in soft winds that brush across dunes shaped by time. The world here is hushed. It is a place of stillness, where the living and the departed have long walked side by side. You find yourself drifting through this desert. The sand beneath your feet glows faintly in the moonlight, cool and fine as flour. The dunes rise and fall like the breathing of the earth. Far ahead, faint outlines emerge. Dark shapes rise from the horizon. Tombs, temples, forgotten gateways carved into the stone of cliffs. They stand quietly, half-buried, yet eternal. These are the hidden tombs of the desert. Here, kings and queens once laid their bodies to rest. Here, the humble and the mighty alike were carried into eternity. The sand has covered much, but the silence holds their memory still. In the ancient land of Egypt, the desert was more than earth. It was a threshold between worlds. The Nile gave life, but the desert kept secrets. It was the place where the body returned to the stillness of stone, and the soul began its long journey beyond. Imagine a procession moving slowly through the sand. Torches flicker in the night, their flames bending with the wind. Priests chant softly, their voices rising and falling like waves upon the river. The body of the departed is carried gently, wrapped in linen, anointed with oils that smell of cedar and myrrh. The desert swallows the sound, leaving only whispers behind. At last, the procession reaches the tomb. The walls are painted with stories. Boats sailing across the sky, gods with falcon heads and lion forms, stars drawn in gold and blue. Spells are carved into the stone, words to guide the soul through shadow and light. The body is placed within the chamber, the door is sealed, and silence returns. Outside, the desert wind blows across the sand, hiding the tomb from all but memory. To the Egyptians, the tomb was not only a place for the body, it was a map for the soul. Every chamber, every carving, every symbol held meaning. They believed the journey after death was long and filled with trials. The soul would walk through halls of darkness, meet guardians, cross rivers of fire, and stand before the weighing of the heart. To reach eternity, one needed guidance, one needed words of power, one needed the tomb itself to act as a lantern in the shadowed world beyond. And so, tombs were filled with treasures, not treasures of greed but of care. Jars of food so the spirit would not hunger, amulets so the spirit would be safe, statues of servants, carved to serve the soul in the next life, even games and toys so joy would not be forgotten. Each item was a prayer, each gift a whisper that said, "You will not walk alone." The desert held these tombs like secrets, hidden beneath dunes, tucked within cliffs. They were guarded not only by stone but by silence. For centuries, the wind buried their entrances. Only those who knew the paths of stars and the maps of sand could find their way. To the living, the tombs became invisible. To the departed, they remained eternal homes. Imagine yourself standing before one now. A cliff rises above you, its face pale under the moon. At its base, a doorway opens, tall and dark, yet inviting. You step inside, and the air grows cooler, carrying the faint scent of age. Your footsteps echo softly on stone. The walls glow faintly in torchlight, covered in symbols of falcons, lotuses, and suns. Every surface speaks. Every mark is a message for the soul. Deeper you walk, until the chamber opens wide. Here lies the resting place. A sarcophagus rests in the center, carved with care, its lid shaped like the face of the one within. Though centuries may pass, the silence keeps it whole. The tomb is not sorrowful. It is serene. It is a cradle of eternity, a doorway carved into stone. Beyond Egypt, deserts across the world also became homes for the departed. In the lands of Mesopotamia, great ziggurats rose like mountains of brick. Some were temples, but some too held the resting places of kings. In the deserts of Arabia, nomadic tribes buried their loved ones in cairns of stone, small markers against the shifting sand. Even in the far reaches of the Sahara, ancient tribes carved hidden chambers, believing the earth itself would protect the dead. Always, the desert was chosen, because the desert is silence, because the desert is timeless, because nothing grows easily in its soil, and so what is placed within it remains untouched, held in stillness for ages. To walk among the desert tombs is to walk among echoes. You do not hear voices, yet you feel them. You do not see the departed, yet you sense their presence. The sand carries memory. The air carries prayer. The silence itself becomes a hymn. In time, many tombs were lost. The sands rose, the winds shifted, and entrances vanished beneath the dunes. To the living, they became myths, stories of hidden chambers, filled with gold, guarded by curses. But to the souls within, it mattered little. They were already beyond, already walking through halls of light, already seated in eternal fields. The tomb remained only as a reminder for those still on earth. Imagine now the desert night. The sky is vast and black, scattered with stars like jewels. The tombs lie hidden beneath the sand, their walls painted with suns and rivers that no living eye can see. The wind passes softly, shaping the dunes anew, covering and uncovering as it pleases. The silence is endless, yet it is not empty. It is full, like the pause between breaths. It is peace itself. The desert's hidden tombs teach a quiet lesson, that the body rests, but the soul journeys on, that silence is not an ending, but a beginning, that what is hidden is not lost. It is simply waiting, patient as the stars. You walk back from the tomb now, out of the cliff and into the open desert. The moon is high, casting silver light across the dunes. Your footsteps leave faint marks in the sand, soon to be erased by the wind, and yet even when they are gone, the journey remains. The path is written not on the earth, but in the soul. The desert stretches in every direction. It is endless yet calming. The air is cool, the stars are steady, the silence is deep. Here you feel no fear. Here you feel only rest. The hidden tombs are not only for kings, they are for all who walk this earth. Every soul, no matter how small, carries its own chamber, its own resting place, its own doorway to eternity. And just as the desert guards the tombs with sand and silence, so too does the universe guard every spirit with love and light. Let that thought stay with you now, that you are held, that you are safe, that your journey when it comes will be gentle, guided, and eternal. The desert sleeps beneath the stars. The tombs lie hidden, quiet as the breath of stone. The sand covers them, protects them, keeps them, and the souls who once passed through them are already walking in brighter lands. Rest now. Imagine the desert night wrapping you like a blanket of silver and gold. Imagine the tombs beneath you, silent, eternal, safe. The stars above turn slowly, guiding the world onward. The winds whisper softly, carrying lullabies of sand. Let yourself drift as the desert drifts. Let your breath slow as the dunes rise and fall. The hidden tombs will remain, ancient and patient, waiting in silence. And you too may rest in silence, calm and safe beneath the eternal sky. Now close your eyes. The night is kind, the desert is calm, and the tombs keep their secrets in peace. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return. The night is quiet now. The air is gentle. A soft darkness spreads across the sky, carrying you deeper into dream. You stand at the edge of a great river. The water does not rush. It does not roar. It moves slowly like breath in the chest of the earth. Mist rises from its surface. It curls like incense, folding into the air. The stars lean down, their light trembling in the reflection of the stream. There is no fear here, only stillness. Only the sense that this river has always been here, waiting. The ancients called it by many names. Some named it Styx, the solemn current of the Greeks. Some named it Vaitarani, the Vedic stream where souls pass between lives. Others spoke of it as a silver thread that runs through both time and eternity. It is always the same river. It divides, yet it unites. It separates, yet it carries. You drift closer to its bank. The sand beneath your feet is soft and cool. The reeds bend with the whisper of night wind. An owl calls far away, then falls silent. The water gleams in the moonlight like polished stone. Listen. It is said that every soul, when it loosens from the body, finds this river. The living may not see it in their waking days, but it flows nearby through dream and silence. It is a place of passage, not of ending. The water holds memory, and the water carries renewal. In Greece, the old poet spoke of a boatman named Charon. He waits at the bank with his narrow vessel. His oar is worn smooth by centuries of touch. The souls approach him, each carrying only the silence of their last breath. He ferries them across the Styx, from the bright meadow of life to the shadowed halls beyond. But even here in their tales there was no cruelty, only a crossing, only the movement from one shore to another. Imagine the boat rocking lightly on the waves. The wood creaks. The lantern glows faintly, painting the mist in amber. The water ripples outward in circles, spreading wider and wider until they vanish into the vastness. The journey is calm, as if guided by the hand of time itself. Now let the river change before you. Its surface turns from dark stone to shining silver. The air warms. You hear the murmur of chanting, the sound of bells. This is no longer Greece, but the sacred stream of the Vedas. Here the river is Vaitarani, a current of transformation. It flows between one life and the next. Souls bathe in its waters and are cleansed of their heaviness. They are made light enough to rise again, to breathe once more beneath the sun. The river glows softly. Its ripples are like threads of light woven into fabric. The sound is soothing, like the lullaby of the earth itself. Every drop carries both ending and beginning, both farewell and welcome. You stand at its bank and see petals drifting on the current. Lotus blossoms float, opening and closing with the rhythm of the tide. They shine with pale colors, carrying blessings downstream. The blossoms remind you that nothing is ever lost. What sinks returns. What closes opens again. What ends begins once more. The river changes again. It is vast now, wide as the horizon. Its waters are dark, yet gentle. You see stars swimming beneath its surface as though the sky has fallen inside. The current hums with a quiet song. It is the same river, and yet a new one still. Across many lands, people believe that such a river must exist. For how else could the living walk into silence except by crossing water? How else could memory let go of one shore, except by drifting to another? Water was always the passage, always the bridge. It cannot be held, yet it holds all things. You breathe slowly. The air tastes of mist and stone. The river seems to breathe with you, a slow and steady rhythm. Inhale, the water draws back. Exhale, the water flows onward. You and the river are one. You and the current move together. Imagine now a soul standing at the bank. It could be anyone. A traveler who has walked far. A mother, gentle and tired. A child with eyes still full of stars. Each one comes here in their own time. Each one meets the water. There is no hurry, no delay. The river waits, always patient, always kind. Some rivers are said to remember. Dip your hand into the current and feel the coolness. It carries voices, faint but tender. Songs of those who once lived. Whispers of their laughter. The hush of their prayers. All of it carried here, flowing onward into forever. But the river does not cling. It lets go, it moves. And so must every soul. The Greeks believed that to drink from the river Lethe, the stream of forgetfulness, was to begin again. The past would fade like mist at dawn. The weight of memory would fall away. A soul would be free to walk into a new life, light and unburdened. Such is the mercy of water. It cleanses, it renews. The Vedic chants spoke of rivers as mothers. They gave, they healed, they carried. The current was a cradle, rocking the spirit between worlds. No one was left behind. No one was lost. All returned to the flow, like rain returning to the sea. You look across the wide expanse. The far bank is hidden in mist. It seems both close and endless. It is said that once the crossing is made, the soul no longer feels alone. Loved ones wait in the soft haze. Ancestors gather like stars appearing at twilight. The crossing is not an ending but a homecoming. Listen to the water. Its voice is steady. It says all things return. It says nothing is lost. It says you are carried, always carried. The reeds sway with the rhythm of the current. A faint fragrance drifts from unseen blossoms. The air itself feels like a lullaby, wrapping you in its softness. The river's edge is not a place of fear, but of rest. It is the pause between breaths, the stillness before dawn. Now imagine stepping into a small boat. It rocks gently. The wood is warm from moonlight. The water accepts your weight, carrying you as if you were lighter than a feather. The oar dips once, twice, and you begin to move. The sound of water against the boat is like the sound of a heartbeat. Steady, unbroken, comforting. The mist thickens, but it does not hide you. It protects you, like a veil drawn softly over a sleeping face. Your eyes grow heavy. The sound of the current slows. Time itself slows, and in this drifting there is no need to arrive. The journey itself is peace. The river is not only between worlds, it is within you, moving through every breath, carrying you gently into stillness. Let the water rock you. Let the current hold you. There is no rush. There is no end. Only the steady, endless flow. The stars above shimmer in silence. Their light bends across the water like silver threads. The air is cool, kind, and still. The river carries you, always onward, always safe. Now rest as the current deepens. Let the water of ages lull you. Let the mist fold you into its quiet arms. The river divides, yet the river unites. It carries the living, it carries the departed. It carries you too, softly, endlessly, into the night. Now drift. Now rest. The stars return. The night grows deep. The sky is dark velvet, lit only by the quiet shimmer of distant stars. The air is still, warm, as though the earth itself is breathing a gentle sigh. And before you there is fire, not a wild blaze, not a storm of heat, but a steady flame glowing softly as though it has burned for thousands of years. The flame flickers with grace. It bends and sways as if listening to the rhythm of silence. Its light paints the stones around it with gold. Shadows stretch, then soften, then disappear again. The fire hums in its own way, a sound like breath, like memory, like the turning of time. Across ages and lands, people have gathered before flames like these, not to destroy but to remember, not to fear but to be renewed. In the fire they saw cleansing. In the fire they saw the path of the soul rising upward, light as smoke drifting into the endless sky. You sit close to the warmth. The glow touches your skin, yet it is never harsh. It is gentle, steady, like a guardian that does not sleep. Each flicker feels alive, each spark a whisper from the old world. In ancient Persia, the Zoroastrians tended sacred flames. They called them eternal fires, never allowed to die. Priests watched over them night and day. Oil was poured, ashes were cleared. The flame was the meeting point between the mortal and the divine. They believed the soul, too, was like fire, bright, rising, never lost, always seeking the heavens. Picture the temple. The stone walls are cool, the ceilings high. The only sound is the fire, breathing softly. Men and women stand in silence, their faces lit by gold. The fire does not consume recklessly. It shines, it steadies the mind. It reminds each heart of what endures. The flame shifts again. It becomes the fire of the Vedic chants, the fire of Agni, the god who carries prayers upward. Offerings of ghee, of rice, of herbs are placed in the flame. The smoke rises like a bridge, carrying words, carrying hopes, carrying the soul closer to the stars. The fire accepts without judgment. It does not cling. It does not keep. It transforms. The grain becomes smoke. The offering becomes fragrance. The body, too, when its time is finished, returns to fire and is lifted, freed from heaviness, given back to the vast sky. You can almost hear the chants, low and slow, weaving with the crackle of wood. The fire dances in time with the rhythm. The sparks rise like fireflies, then vanish, leaving only stillness. But the stillness is not empty. It is full of peace. In Greece, too, the hearth was sacred. Hestia, goddess of the flame, guarded the home. Every meal, every gathering began with her fire. It was not grand, not towering. It was small, steady, near, a reminder that divinity does not always roar. Sometimes it glows quietly in the heart of the home. The listener rests closer to the flame. The warmth soothes tired muscles. The light eases the shadows of thought. The flame whispers of renewal. It says, burn away what no longer belongs. It says, release, so that the spirit may rise light and clear. There is no violence in this fire. It does not consume for greed. It consumes to transform. Every spark is a letting go. Every flicker is a lifting. The fire takes what is heavy and gives it back as light. In the old cults of mystery, fire was the path of rebirth. The initiate stood before the flames and felt the shedding of what was old. The fire was both ending and beginning. Ash fell, but from ash came seed. Light faded, but from light came dawn. Imagine sitting here, beside the flame, as night deepens. The stars above seem to echo the fire below, tiny points of light across an endless sky, each one burning quietly, patiently, each one a reminder that light endures in darkness. The fire hums on. Its rhythm is calm, unbroken. You feel your breath fall in line with it. Inhale with the rising flame. Exhale with the falling ash. The fire and your spirit move together. There is a teaching in these flames, not in words but in feeling. The teaching is, nothing is wasted. All things change, but nothing is lost. What is heavy is lifted. What is bound is freed. What is dark becomes light. You close your eyes and still the glow remains. It warms you from within, as if your very soul has its own flame. This inner fire is quiet, but steady. It is the fire of breath, of life, of spirit. It does not destroy, it guides, it heals. Now the flame before you begins to soften. Its brightness lowers, but it does not vanish. It settles into embers, glowing red, glowing gold. The heat is tender now, like a blanket pulled close. The smoke rises slowly, curling upward, disappearing into the night. The fire has given what it must. It has burned away the weight. It has lifted prayers into the air. It has reminded the heart that transformation is not to be feared. It is to be welcomed, as one welcomes sleep, as one welcomes dawn. The night is very still. Only the faint crackle remains. It is like a lullaby, soft, repeating, familiar. You rest in its rhythm. You let it carry you inward. Deeper, calmer, lighter. Now the stars watch quietly. The sky is wide, endless, eternal. The flame is small, close, human, yet they are one. The fire of the heavens and the fire of the hearth are born of the same mystery. Both shine, both purify, both endure. Let us drift onward now, carried by the glow. The fire has done its work. The heart is lighter. The spirit is clear. Sleep approaches, soft and safe. The embers fade, the night deepens, and you are held in peace. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as the flame within you glows gently without end. Night has fallen like a cloak of velvet. The stars above drift in silence, scattered like jewels across the sky. The air is cool, calm, touched by the faint memory of desert winds. In this stillness, an ancient hall rises before the soul. Its pillars are tall, carved with sacred shapes, glowing faintly in the flicker of unseen lamps. The ground is smooth stone, polished by centuries of footsteps, yet untouched by time. This is the Hall of Truth, the hall where souls once gathered after the body's breath had ceased. Here, the Egyptians told, the spirit stood in quiet, waiting. No rushing, no fear, only stillness, like the hush that comes before dawn. At the center of the hall rests a great balance, a scale of shining metal, suspended in perfect calm. On one side waits a single white feather, soft as moonlight, light as the breath of dawn. This is the feather of Ma'at, goddess of truth, of order, of balance. On the other side, the soul must be placed. The heart itself, tender and hidden, is set upon the scale. The soul stands in silence. Its journey across the desert through darkness and memory has led it here. The gods gather in quiet rows watching. Anubis, guardian of the dead, dark and kind, touches the scale with careful hands. Thoth, keeper of wisdom, stands ready to record what unfolds. And far beyond, Osiris, green-faced ruler of the underworld, waits upon his throne of reeds. The feather does not move. It rests, eternal, untouched by time. It is the measure of harmony. If the heart is light, free of cruelty, free of lies, the scale will find balance. The soul will rise toward the field of reeds, a land where harvests never end, where the river flows forever calm. There the spirit will walk in peace, under skies that never fade, among family and ancestors who welcome with open arms. But if the heart is heavy, the balance tips. The soul is not punished, only returned. For at the foot of the scale waits Ammit, the devourer. Part lion, part crocodile, part hippopotamus, she rests in patience. She does not chase. She does not hunt. She waits only for what is heavy, what cannot rise. If the heart weighs too much, she takes it, and the soul drifts into silence, dissolved like mist at sunrise. The hall is quiet. The torches hum softly. The air feels thick with eternity. Every spirit that has walked this path has stood here, before the feather, before the scale. And the heart, in its truth, reveals all. The Egyptians did not see this as fear, but as balance. The universe itself was woven of Ma'at, truth, justice, harmony. The rising of the sun, the flooding of the Nile, the turning of the stars, all were bound by Ma'at. To live in honesty was to move with the current of the cosmos. To live in cruelty was to move against it. The scale was not a trial, but a mirror. The heart was weighed not against punishment, but against truth. You imagine the feather now. It glows faintly, as though made of starlight. It does not tremble. It waits. And beside it, the heart glows too, warm, steady, carrying the story of a life. Every kindness, every word, every silence, every choice, all are written within it, more lasting than stone. The gods do not speak. They do not rush. The scale moves only when the heart is placed. It tips ever so slightly, then steadies. Perhaps it aligns with the feather. Perhaps it dips. But in either way there is calm. The soul does not vanish in anger. It is guided either into peace or into silence. Always with balance. Always with care. The hall itself seems to breathe. Its walls are carved with stories. The rising of the sun from the lotus flower. The falcon of Horus stretching his wings across the sky. The goddess Maat, her arms wide, her feather lifted high. All remind the soul that life and death are woven together. One endless journey, one eternal rhythm. And if the soul passes, if the feather and the heart are equal, the gates beyond the hall open. Beyond them lies the field of reeds. Picture it now. The land glows golden, under skies without end. The river winds slowly, wide and calm, reflecting the light of a sun that never sets. Tall grasses sway in a breeze that never tires. There are homes, simple and warm, where families rest together. There are fields, green and rich, where crops rise high without toil. There is laughter. There is reunion. There is peace, eternal and unbroken. The soul walks forward, lighter than air, stepping into this world as though returning home after a long journey. Each step is met with welcome, Each face is familiar, though centuries have passed. Here there is no hunger, no sorrow, no shadow. Only the harmony of Ma'at, stretched across eternity like a soft sky. But if the scale tips, if the heart cannot rise, then silence comes. Not cruel silence, not torment, but stillness. The heart dissolves into the waiting jaws of Amit, and all that is heavy drifts away. There is no pain, only return. The spirit vanishes like a wave folding into the sea. This is the mystery the Egyptians spoke of, a balance between lightness and weight, a passage between truth and forgetting. And through it all, the feather rests, eternal. You breathe slowly now, as though your own heart rests upon the scale. Each breath lighter, each thought softer. The feather does not move, it simply glows, waiting, eternal. The hall grows dim, the torches soften. The gods watch, but they do not linger. The scale fades into shadow. The feather drifts upward, becoming starlight once more. And the field of reeds, golden and still, lingers at the edge of vision, like a dream waiting to return. The night is calm. The stars above are endless, and you rest, lighter than breath, carried by silence, carried by truth. Now the hall fades. The desert wind is quiet. Only the feather remains, glowing softly in the dark. It whispers of balance. It whispers of peace, and it guides you gently toward sleep. Let us drift onward now, as the scales of eternity close. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as your heart grows light. The night drifts quietly. The stars above are soft and silver. Yet in this tale, the gaze turns downward into the deep earth. Beneath mountains and desert stones there lie ancient caverns where silence is alive, and shadows hum with secrets. The air is cool, the walls damp with timeless stillness. Here the soul is invited to wander, to descend, and to listen. Many peoples, in ages long gone, told of caves not as places of fear, but as gateways. They said that beneath the surface of the world, wisdom waited, hidden in stone, hidden in silence. Those who entered carried lamps, or only their breath, stepping slowly, listening to the drip of unseen waters, the low groan of the earth itself. They believed the caverns were more than hollow rock. They were the bones of the world. They were the womb of the soul. Imagine stepping into such a space. The entrance narrows. The world of sun and wind disappears behind you. Ahead stretches only darkness, a quiet that feels eternal. With each breath the air cools further, as if the earth holds you in its shade. You walk deeper, following the echoes of your own steps. Torchlight, or perhaps the memory of torchlight, glows upon carved walls. Symbols linger there, painted or etched by hands that sought truth in shadow. The cults and mystery schools of forgotten centuries told their disciples that to pass into wisdom, one must pass through the earth. They spoke of descent as a mirror of the soul's journey, falling inward, leaving behind noise, carrying only the essence of being. Caves became classrooms. Darkness became scripture. Whispers were the only teachers. In those traditions, seekers would kneel upon cold stone, close their eyes, and listen. The cave was alive with small sounds. A drop of water falling like a bell, the wings of unseen bats, the shifting breath of air. In the quiet, the soul felt small at first, then infinite. In stillness, the seeker felt the great weaving of worlds. Life above, silence below, stars beyond. To some, these caves were seen as thresholds of trial. Myths told of caverns where initiates were tested, not by swords or flames, but by silence, patience, and fear of the unknown. To endure darkness was to endure the self. The mind would wander. Shapes would form in shadow. But those who held their breath steady, who leaned into quiet, would find visions waiting. They saw rivers of light beneath the stone. They heard voices of ancestors woven into the silence. They felt the touch of eternity in dripping water. There is an old story told in whispers. It speaks of a seeker who entered a cavern beneath a temple, guided only by a flickering flame. The walls were rough, scratched with marks from ages before. The path wound downward, narrower and narrower, until the flame guttered. In the dark, the seeker's heart trembled, yet instead of fleeing, they sat upon the earth. They listened. In the silence, a soft hum rose, not from stone, but from within their chest. Their heart had become the lamp. In that sound, they felt the whole world, mountains, oceans, winds, and stars, moving as one breath. When they emerged, the morning sun was brighter than ever, for they carried the glow of the cave within. These tales remind the listener that caves were never only places of stone. They were wombs of rebirth. The darkness was not an ending, but a cocoon. What entered was not always what returned. Souls went down in fear and came back carrying peace. Picture again those secret chambers. The walls glisten softly as if the stone itself holds memory. The floor is cool, smoothed by countless steps of those who walked before. Somewhere far within, an underground pool rests. Its water reflects no sky, only the trembling flame of a torch. The pool is still, like a mirror of the unseen. To touch it is to touch silence itself. Many believed such waters carried dreams. To drink was to remember who you truly were, beneath the surface of life. Mystery schools often spoke of caverns as bridges between worlds. Above was the world of noise, markets, voices, duties. Below was the realm of stillness, roots, shadows, eternal stone. To step between them was to learn balance. Life, they said, was a cave itself. We enter, we wander, we face shadows, we search for light. In some tales, the caves were guarded not by monsters, but by whispers. A seeker might hear voices in the dark, some guiding, some testing. Were they echoes of their own heart, or spirits of the deep earth? None could say. Yet those who walked with patience, who listened without fear, always found the way. The feather of courage, the stone of silence, the flame of faith, all were said to be carried out of those caves, not in the hand, but in the soul. They were invisible treasures, gifts of the unseen. Now, let the listener drift deeper into the image. Imagine lying upon smooth stone, the cave roof arching like the sky, the air cool, still, safe. Darkness does not press, it cradles. Silence does not threaten, it soothes. You breathe softly, the sound of your own breath the only song. You feel the earth holding you, ancient, patient, eternal. Outside, the world continues, but here, in the depths, there is no time. Only stillness, only presence, only peace. The soul rests in shadow as a seed rests in soil, waiting for light, waiting for bloom. And so, the stories say, when the seeker finally rises and steps once more into the day, they do not return as the same. Their eyes carry a quiet glow. Their breath holds the rhythm of stone. Their heart beats with patience, with depth. They have been touched by the whispers in the caves. Now, as this tale draws its gentle close, let the darkness of the cave become the soft darkness of your room. Let the cool stillness settle into your breath. Imagine the earth beneath you, strong and steady, holding you with care. Let the whispers fade into silence. Let the silence become rest. Now drift onward, into dreams, into peace, as the caves close softly around you. As the stars return, the night spreads wide like a great dark cloth stitched with silver stars. The air is still, the world hushed, and in this quiet an ancient image rises, a ladder of light stretching upward, rung by rung, into the sky. Long ago, seekers spoke of such ladders, not of wood or rope, but of spirit, woven from beams of starlight. They imagined the soul stepping upward, slowly, gently, toward the eternal heights. Each rung was not a step of the body, but a step of the heart. Each movement was a lesson, a release, a deepening. Close your eyes in this telling and picture it, a vast plain under the stars, the air cool, the sand soft beneath bare feet. In the center of that stillness, a ladder rises, tall as the heavens, brighter than the moon. Its rungs shimmer like quiet flames, yet they do not burn. They glow, steady, like calm water catching dawn. The soul approaches, unafraid. The first rung is low, gentle, waiting. To step upon it is to leave behind the noise of earth, worries, weight, weariness. The ground grows distant, yet not forgotten, for it rests below like a cradle. With the first step, the soul learns silence. The stars above seem closer, and the breath grows slow, like a soft tide. Ancient sects taught that this ladder was not only a passage to the divine, but also a mirror of the soul's inner climb. To ascend was to let go of shadow and gather light. Each rung carried its own lesson, its own quiet trial. Some said the ladder rose through 7 heavens. Others whispered of countless rungs, as endless as the stars. But always the journey was gentle. Always the soul was carried upward by patience, never haste. The second rung glows with clarity. To place a foot upon it is to release confusion, like mist dissolving under morning sun. Thoughts settle, scattered fears drift away, and the soul feels lighter. The ladder holds steady, as if it has always been there, waiting through all time. On the third rung there is compassion. The soul remembers kindness, remembers love, remembers the warmth of giving and receiving. The rung itself seems to pulse like a heart. To stand here is to feel the bond of all living things, the trees that breathe, the rivers that flow, the faces remembered in dreams. Step by step, the soul rises, each rung both higher and deeper. The fourth rung is strength not of muscle but of spirit. It glows with calm fire, a flame that does not flicker. Here, the soul feels unshaken, as if the stars themselves stand beside it. The fifth rung is wisdom. It does not shout. It whispers like wind through reeds, like water over stone. To rest here is to remember that truth is not forced. It is found in stillness, in listening. The sixth rung is peace. The ladder trembles with soft light. The sky seems nearer, almost within reach. Here the soul feels no need to climb, no urgency, only rest. The stars above are reflected in the stars within, and the seventh rung glows brighter than all before. It is unity, the return to source. To step here is to know that there is no ladder at all, only light. No journey, only being. The stars do not wait above. They are already within the heart. Ancient teachings painted many images of this heavenly ladder. Some saw angels upon it, ascending and descending, like messengers between earth and sky. Others spoke of the soul-meeting guides upon each rung, figures of wisdom, clothed in light, who offered words that were not words, but knowing itself. In every telling, the ladder was not a climb of struggle, but of grace. Imagine now, the soul pausing halfway up. Below lies the earth, dim but tender, cradled in shadow. Above, the stars shine with quiet welcome. The air is neither heavy nor light. It is simply still. The ladder holds, glowing, timeless. You breathe upon it as if resting between two worlds. The ladder is not hurried. It waits. It asks for no effort. The climb is not in the legs, but in the heart. Each breath, each letting go, is another step. There is a tale from long ago. A seeker dreamed of this ladder, standing in the desert under night's great veil. He placed a hand upon the first rung and felt warmth, like sunlight stored in silver. As he climbed, he saw visions upon each rung. His life, his loves, his losses, his joys. He wept upon the rung of compassion, laughed upon the rung of wisdom, and knelt in silence upon the rung of peace. When he reached the top, he found not a gate, not a throne, but a vast field of stars. They opened around him, within him, until he was no longer climbing, no longer standing. He was simply light among light. Such stories are not of endings, but of reminders. The ladder is not elsewhere. It rests always in the soul. To breathe is to touch its first rung. To love is to climb further. To rest in silence is to stand near its heights. The journey is not far away. It unfolds within every heart, in every gentle breath. Now let the image soften. The ladder glows, but it need not be climbed tonight. It stands eternal, waiting with patience, reaching from earth to sky, from sky to spirit. You stand beside it, bathed in its light, yet free to rest. The rungs shimmer, but they do not fade. They are always there, even in dreams, even in silence. The stars above are calm. The earth below is steady. The soul rests between them, safe, carried, eternal. So let the vision drift. Let the ladder become mist, a soft memory, a promise of light. Let the stars return to their places, gentle as lanterns in the sky. Now breathe, slowly. The heavenly ladder stands within you. It does not vanish. It waits, as all light waits, quiet and kind. Let us drift onward now, into silence, into stillness, as the stars shine softly above. As the night closes its gentle arms around you, as rest returns. The night is quiet. A cool wind drifts over fields of shadow and light. The stars above gleam like lanterns hung in the sky. The world rests, and within that rest an old story opens. One of tables long prepared, of feasts that never end, of souls gathered in gentle welcome. Imagine it now, softly, as if walking through a dream. A long road stretches before you, lined with torches that glow like warm embers. The ground beneath your feet is soft, not earth, not stone, but something in between, like clouds shaped into a path. Each step is easy, light, without weight. In the distance, laughter hums low and steady, not sharp but soothing, like the murmur of a river in twilight. This is the promise of the eternal banquet. Ancient voices spoke of it across many lands. In Greece, it was the feast of heroes in the Elysian fields, where warriors and poets sat side by side, drinking nectar beneath eternal sun. In Rome, the blessed shared tables in meadows without end. In Celtic tales, the other world shimmered with golden halls, where ancestors welcomed the newly arrived, offering endless cups of sweetness, endless plates of fruit and bread. The banquet was never about hunger. It was about belonging, about the soul's return to a place where nothing is lacking, where the heart feels whole, where every seat is filled with kindness. Picture it more closely now. The torches rise higher. The murmur grows clearer. You reach a great archway carved of pale stone, veiled in vines heavy with flowers that glow faintly under starlight. Beyond it lies a hall with no walls, only pillars that stretch upward, holding nothing but the open sky. The roof is the heavens themselves, and through them the constellations watch, like quiet guests. At the center is the table. Long as a river, wide as a meadow, yet never ending, it bends and curves, always making space, always opening room for more. Upon it rest bowls of fruit that never spoil, loaves of bread that never grow hard, cups that refill themselves with clear, sweet drink. The air is rich with the gentle scent of herbs, honey, and smoke from fires that never burn out. The guests sit not in silence, but in harmony. Their voices are low, calm like songs sung to children. They greet each soul who arrives with soft hands, warm smiles, and eyes that hold no judgment. Ancestors are here. Old friends are here. Figures from forgotten times are here. They turn to you, and though no words are spoken, the welcome is clear. You belong. In Greek thought, the Elysian feast was a gift for those who had lived with honor, heroes who had borne the weight of battle, poets who had carried beauty, seekers who had served truth. In their fields of gold, the feast was not an end, but a beginning. There, the soul shed all weariness, all grief, and drank of nectar until it felt only lightness, only song. The Romans, too, pictured their blessed gathered in meadows. Their cups overflowed, not with wine alone, but with memory, with joy. The feast was a weaving together of all that had been lost on earth. Brothers embraced, mothers found their children, friends clasped hands. At the table, no one sat alone, and in the Celtic stories, the feast was endless as the seasons. Apples gleamed with silver skin. Salmon swam in crystal pools beside the hall, leaping into waiting hands. Mead poured from vessels that never emptied. Here the soul was not a guest only, but kin. The ancestors welcomed the traveler as though they had been gone only a day, not a lifetime. Listen now to the sound of it. Cups set gently on wood, laughter low as waves upon a shore, the hum of distant harps, strings brushed by unseen fingers, a rhythm steady, unhurried, eternal. This is not a feast of noise. It is a feast of calm joy, of unending presence. You take a seat. The chair shapes itself to your body, soft, warm, steady. A plate is set before you. Fruit glows like jewels. Bread steams fresh as though just drawn from an oven. A cup waits at your hand already full. You lift it, sip, and the taste is not of one thing, but of all comfort. Sweetness and coolness, richness and calm. With every sip, the soul feels more at home, more at ease. Around you, the table stretches on, glowing faintly in the starlight. Every guest is calm, every heart at peace. There is no rush, no end. Time here is not counted. Night and day have no meaning. Only the feast remains, and the company and the warmth. The stories remind us that the banquet is not only a promise of what lies beyond, it is also a reflection of the longing within, the wish for togetherness, the hope for reunion, the dream of a table where no one is missing. The eternal feast is the soul's memory of belonging. You breathe deeply. The air is rich yet light. A harp hums softly in the distance. A song is rising, though it has no words. It is only a melody, simple and slow, carrying through the open hall like wind across a meadow. It does not demand listening, but it soothes like a cradle rocking in the night. Some myths tell of gods sitting at the banquet. Zeus with his thunder, Odin with his ravens, Dagda with his cauldron. But in the gentlest tellings, the gods are not rulers here. They are companions. They too share the table. For the banquet is not about power. It is about presence. Every soul here shines equally. A light among lights. The feast stretches on. Platters refill without hand or servant. The fires never grow low. The music never falters. Yet nothing overwhelms. Everything is gentle. Everything is steady. You may eat or not eat, drink or not drink, speak or rest in silence. The banquet holds you, whatever you choose. Let the vision soften now. See the table stretching on, through meadows, through forests, through the halls of memory. Hear the laughter fading, not lost, only drifting like a lullaby. Feel the cup still warm in your hand, the chair still holding your body. the air still sweet around you. The eternal banquet waits always. It does not close. Its table is never cleared. Its guests are never gone. Now rest in that promise, that table of light, that hall of stars, that feast of belonging. It is not far away. It is near, always within reach, always waiting, always ready. Let the torches fade. Let the archway close. Let the murmur grow quiet until only stillness remains. Let us drift onward now, past the banquet, past the fields, into the soft embrace of night. As the stars return, as rest returns, the night drifts inward like a slow tide. The stars above soften like embers fading in the hearth of heaven. The air is still, touched only by the faint memory of incense and the hush of distant winds. You find yourself at the threshold of another story, another chamber in the great temple of sleep. Here, beneath the glow of moonlight, lies a tale about faces and eternity, about the gentle veils placed upon the soul as it moves into the quiet beyond. In many lands, long ago the living prepared the dead with tender care. They dressed them not only in silks or wrappings, but also in masks. Masks of gold, of clay, of wood, or of painted plaster. Each mask was not meant to hide, but to reveal. It was believed that when the soul wandered into the other world, it might need a face, a form, a memory of who it once had been. So the mask was shaped, pressed against time, to guide the spirit gently forward. In Egypt, under the endless desert skies, kings and queens were given faces of radiant gold. The shining metal was thought to be the skin of the gods, untarnished by decay. When the body lay in silence, the golden face shone like sunlight in the dark. It told the heavens, "Here lies one who is ready to rise, ready to walk among the stars." The mask was not only a symbol of power, but of hope, a whisper that the soul might wear light as its garment, and eternity as its crown. Elsewhere, across the sea in Greece, the dead were sometimes given masks of bronze, pressed with care. Their features captured not in brilliance, but in quiet dignity, a reminder that memory itself was sacred. The mask was a doorway, keeping the essence of the person in the world of the living, while also offering it safely to the unseen. It was as though each mask became a second face, one that did not age, one that carried the spirit onward, unbroken. In Rome, families would gather in solemn procession. The wax faces of ancestors were carried, masks taken long before from those who had passed. These masks were not cold objects. They were vessels of memory. Each face told the living, "You come from me, and I still walk with you." Placed in halls, stored in sacred spaces, they reminded each generation that the line of souls stretched unbroken, like a river flowing from source to sea. The living wore the masks in ritual, allowing the ancestors to walk again for a breath, a moment, a blessing. In the far lands of the Celts, death was not the end, but a passage. Painted faces, adorned in sacred colors, carried the spirit into the misty other world. Blue like the open sky, red like the fire of hearth and heart, white like the pale moon guiding the path. Each color, each stroke was a prayer, a promise that the soul was not lost but traveling, crossing into fields where feast and music awaited. The mask, in all its forms, was a bridge, a way of saying that the self is not erased but remembered, that even in the stillness of death, identity breathes, softly and quietly, in the eternal night. It was not about hiding from eternity. It was about entering it with grace, carrying a gentle lantern of selfhood into the unknown. Imagine now a vast cavern, silent and deep. The walls shimmer faintly, as though covered in 1,000 faces. Some are golden, gleaming in the half-light. Some are carved from stone, weathered and kind. Some are painted, glowing with faded yet gentle color. They look not with judgment, but with welcome. Each face whispers of a life once lived, of journeys once taken. They gather here, waiting to guide the newly arrived souls. As you drift through this cavern of masks, the air is cool and still. It smells of earth and time, of wood smoke and rain long past. The silence is not empty. It is full like the pause before a lullaby begins. The faces seem to breathe. They seem to lean closer, not to frighten, but to comfort. Each one says in its own way, "You are not lost. You are remembered. You carry a name that will not fade." The ancients believed that the soul, when it left the body, could sometimes forget itself. The world beyond was vast, shimmering like water, and easy to drift through without anchor. So the mask was given to say, "Here is who you are. Do not forget. Do not be afraid." It was a compass, a map, a reminder. And in this way, the soul moved onward, carrying memory as softly as one carries a candle through the dark. Consider the golden mask of a pharaoh, its eyes wide, its lips calm, its brow adorned with eternal symbols. It was not only made for a king, but for the idea that each human face could be joined with eternity. That beneath the gold, beneath the craft, was a prayer whispered to the stars, "Let this soul rise. Let it shine again." The mask was not silence. It was a song in metal and light. Consider also the painted masks laid upon the humble, not rulers, but everyday people. Each brushstroke spoke of care, of love, of remembrance. Perhaps the paint faded, perhaps the clay cracked, but the spirit it held was not broken. Even the simplest mask, plain and unadorned, carried the same wish: that no soul should wander nameless, that every traveler should know their face when the gates of eternity opened. In the gentle rhythm of this story, you may feel the masks themselves softening, not as hard objects, but as flowing waters, as leaves that press against the current of time. They are not heavy. They are light, fragile, like wings folded against the chest. They remind you that identity is not only in the skin, not only in the form, but in the memory of love, of kindness, of spirit. The mask is but a symbol, yet it carries the weight of the eternal. And so, as the ancients placed masks upon their beloved dead, they were not only preparing them for eternity, they were also preparing themselves. The mask told the living, "Do not fear, this face will return, this love is not lost." It gave them comfort in the silence of absence. It gave them hope that the soul still shone, somewhere in the realms beyond. Now picture a banquet hall of shadows, where all the ancestors gather. They wear their masks, but their eyes shine with familiar warmth. They sit at long tables, whispering in soft tones, waiting for the new traveler to arrive. When the soul steps forward, a mask is lifted and placed gently upon their face. It feels like cool silk, like water running over the skin. And in that moment, they remember who they are. They remember that they belong. The masks of the dead, whether golden or simple, remind us that no spirit is faceless.
No life is forgotten.
Each face carries onward, into memory, into myth, into the quiet beyond. And as you listen, as your breath slows, you too are wrapped in that remembrance. You too are carried into the gentle embrace of eternity. Let the cavern fade now, soft and still. Let the golden glow dim to silver, then to shadow. The faces remain, but they are no longer needed. The soul has found its way. The night closes gently, like a curtain of velvet drawn across the sky. The masks whisper one last time, "You are known. You are remembered. You are safe." And so the story drifts into silence. The stars return steady and calm above. The air cools, the night deepens. Your body sinks, your spirit floats, your heart softens into rest. Let us drift onward. Let us close the eyes of memory, for the masks will keep them safe. Now rest as the stars return, and the night carries you into dream. The night grows deeper, folding like velvet around the edges of the earth. The stars seem softer now, their light more like memory than flame. A hush lingers as if all things hold their breath. You drift gently, as though the world itself has become a cradle. Another story stirs, slow and patient, waiting to be told. It is a tale of names, of remembrance, of the fragile thread between the living and the eternal. In many ancient ways of seeing, a name was more than a sound. It was a vessel of the soul. To speak a name was to keep the spirit alive. To whisper it into the air was to call the person close, even across the veil of death. So long as someone remembered, the soul could walk with ease. But when the name faded, when no lips carried it, when no ear recalled it, then the soul faced a second silence, a second death, deeper and more final. In Egypt, among the temples and the stone-carved tombs, names were carved upon walls and written upon scrolls. The hieroglyphs sang with their sacred pictures, each stroke a promise. You will not be forgotten. The soul, known as the Ka and the Ba, needed the strength of memory to travel beyond. If a name was spoken in prayer, the spirit lived in light. If it was erased or left unspoken, the spirit weakened, drifting into shadows where no path remained. Thus pharaohs built monuments not only of stone, but of remembrance. Every name inscribed was a doorway, every carved symbol a lantern for the eternal night. Among the Greeks, too, names held weight. The poets sang of heroes, keeping their stories alive across the ages. To be remembered in song was to taste immortality. For what is memory but a kind of eternal breath? But the nameless dead, those lost to time, drifted into Hades with no one to call them. They walked among the shades, silent and unspoken, their essence dim like smoke in a cavern. The offerings of the living, poured with care, restored them. Wine, honey, milk, simple gifts placed upon the earth with the whisper of a name. That whisper opened the way, like a soft flame rekindled. In the Roman world, families kept the memory of ancestors alive through ritual and feast. The parentalia, the days of the dead, were filled with offerings. At the graves, names were spoken, bread was broken, wine was poured. In those moments, the dead felt close, their presence stirring in the air. It was not sorrow but continuity, a river of memory flowing from one shore to another. The forgotten, however, were believed to wander restless. Without their names, they had no seat at the eternal table. To remember was kindness. To forget was exile. In far lands, among the Celts, memory was also sacred. The bards kept long songs, weaving the names of ancestors into verses. Each name was like a star sewn into the night sky. The songs ensured that no soul would be erased, that each would shine when called upon. For to forget a name was to dim a light, and when too many lights dimmed, the world grew darker. The living carried the duty to remember, to chant, to call, to hold the names in breath and song. You drift now into the image of a vast plain. It is silent, stretching into mist. Countless figures walk slowly across it. Some shine softly, their names alive upon them. They move with ease, their steps light, their faces calm. But others wander dimly, as if the air itself forgets them. Their shapes blur, their features fade. These are the souls whose names have fallen silent. They are not lost in anger or pain, but in stillness. Like shadows of leaves fallen into deep water, they drift. And yet, in this realm of forgotten names, there is also gentleness. The ancients believed that remembrance could restore. Even the faintest memory, even the smallest whisper could awaken a soul again. It was like a flame relit from embers or a bird rising once more to flight. The forgotten did not despair, they waited. For they knew that one spoken name, even by accident, could call them home. Think of the power of names. A mother calling her child at dusk. A friend remembering another in quiet prayer. A lover whispering into the night. Each name is a bridge, a thread unbroken. When spoken with care, it is like a bell rung across worlds, telling the soul, you are not gone. You are with us still. In some stories, to know a name was to hold power. Spirits and gods were called by secret names, kept safe within temples. To call them by name was to invite their presence, to open a door between worlds. So too with the dead. Their names were keys, opening pathways, ensuring that no soul would drift in darkness. Now, imagine a sacred hall filled with echoes. Every sound is a name whispered into the endless air. Some names are bright, ringing like chimes. Others are faint, trembling like threads of silk. Yet each one lingers, woven together into a tapestry of voices. Here in this place, no name is truly gone. For memory itself gathers them, shelters them, and offers them rest. The ancients feared the second death, but they also offered a promise. So long as one heart remembers, so long as one tongue speaks, the soul is safe. Even forgotten names can return, carried by dream, by story, by song. No name is lost forever, for memory is wide and the night is patient. As you drift deeper into this story, think of the countless names carried on the wind. They are like seeds, like stars, like rivers that never end. Some belong to kings and queens, carved in stone. Others belong to humble souls, whispered only in quiet corners. Yet all are equal in eternity. All are threads of light in the same vast sky. The realm of forgotten names is not sorrowful. It is soft, like a meadow of mist waiting for dawn. It is filled with patience, with hope that one day a voice will remember. And when it does, the soul stirs again, its light rekindled. In this way, memory itself becomes an act of love. To remember is to give life again, gentle as breath. Now the plain fades into stillness. The mist thickens, and the wandering souls grow dim until they too dissolve into quiet air. Above the stars shine steady, each star a name, each light a soul that has not been forgotten. They shine not only for the living but for the dead as well, and even those who fade may one day return, for no night is truly endless. Let us rest now as the story closes. The names still whisper, faint as lullabies. They drift around you like soft winds, like shadows of wings, like petals on still water. They do not ask to be remembered. They simply rest, waiting, safe in the vastness of eternity. let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return, carrying the names of all souls into the gentle night. The night is wide and tender. Moonlight rests upon the waters, a silver veil stretched across the dark. The air is hushed as though the world itself listens. You drift gently as if cradled by unseen hands. The story begins here, upon the still river, where the light of the moon lays its path like a bridge of quiet stars. Across many lands, the moon was seen as more than a lantern in the sky. It was a companion, a guide, a soft witness to both the living and the departed. Its glow touched the earth, yet it belonged to the heavens, and so many believed it was the one who showed spirits the way home. A ferry of light, a silver road stretched between here and there, between now and forever. In the myths of Greece, the ferryman Charon waited upon the shadowed river. He stood by his boat, silent, his oar resting against the dark waters of the Styx. The dead, carrying their coins, approached him one by one. But even in this somber journey, the moon was their companion. Its light glimmered faintly on the water, painting the black current with strokes of silver. The Greeks whispered that without the moon, the river would be endless night. But with its glow, the path could be seen, soft and sure. The souls stepped aboard, their eyes lifted to the quiet sky, following the pale lantern that never left them. Far away, in the lands of the Celts, the moon was seen as a mother. She watched the cycles of life and death waning and waxing, fading and returning. When a soul passed, the people believed the moon opened a pathway, shining across rivers, lakes, and seas. In that glow, the spirit did not stumble. It was carried gently as if upon a silver tide. The Celts called their festivals beneath the moon, their fires burning in rhythm with her phases. For they knew she was not only light, but also passage. The ferry was not always wood and oar. It was often made of moonlight itself. In Egypt, the silver light of the moon was linked with Thoth, the wise god of writing and time. He measured the hours, the turning of days, and guided souls in their reckoning. The moon was his vessel, his lantern across the night. The dead, stepping into their eternal journey, looked to its glow as a sign. It meant that the way was clear. It meant that memory had not abandoned them. Each phase of the moon was a step, each shadow and return a reminder. Nothing is ever truly lost. Even in darkness, light returns. In China, the moon was a bridge of reunion. During the autumn festival, families gazed upward, knowing that ancestors too looked upon the same glowing disk. It was not just light, but presence, soft, eternal, unbroken. For the souls of the departed, the moon was like a ferry captain, guiding them back to visit the homes of their kin. Incense was lit, food was placed, names were spoken. The moon, hanging full in the sky, was both a witness and a path. It shimmered across rooftops, across rivers, across time itself, carrying the spirits where they longed to be. You drift deeper into this vision. The river before you is calm, smooth as glass. The boat that waits is small and simple. Its wood glows faintly, as if brushed by starlight. The ferryman does not speak. He only gestures, and you step aboard. The water sighs softly as the oar touches it, and the boat glides forward. Above, the moon stretches its silver road, endless and bright, yet never blinding. It is gentle like a mother's hand. It is patient, like the turning of seasons. The journey is quiet. All around you, mist drifts low, curling like smoke over the surface of the water. Yet the moonlight cuts through, clear and unwavering. It wraps the boat. It rests upon your shoulders. It shimmers upon your hair. You are not alone. Countless souls have traveled this path before. Countless souls will follow, each one touched by the same glow, each one carried by the same gentle tide. Some traditions spoke of the moon as a mirror. It reflected the waters below, just as it reflected the lives once lived. When the soul gazed upon it, they saw not only light but memory. Faces of loved ones, moments of joy, laughter once shared. They glimmered within the silver light. Like ripples across the water, they came and went, soft and fleeting, yet eternal in their presence. The moon was a reminder that nothing truly disappears. It changes, it shifts, but it remains. In other lands, the moon was seen as a great gate. To pass into the next life was to step through its round door. When full, the gate was wide and open. When new, it was hidden, waiting in silence. But always it returned. Always it kept the rhythm of the world. Souls followed its call. Like birds follow the stars. They moved toward it, knowing it would not fail them. The moon was faithful. It was eternal. Now the boat drifts onward, smooth and unbroken. The ferryman's oar makes a soft sound, steady as a heartbeat. The air grows cooler, touched by the scent of river reeds. The moon above grows larger, as though leaning closer to watch. Its light spills upon the path ahead, endless and calm. No shadow dares break it, no storm disturbs it. The ferry moves as if guided by breath itself, slow, patient, certain. At times the river narrows. The mist gathers thick, and the night grows heavy. But always the moon returns, breaking through, laying its path across the waves. It never falters. It never abandons. Even when hidden, it waits. Even when unseen, it shines still. So the soul does not fear. It rests, knowing the ferry will always find its way. In this way, the ancients wove their faith into the night sky. For them, death was not only ending, but travel. And what traveler does not need a road? The moon gave them that road, silver and sure. It was the ferry that asked for no coin, only trust. It carried the weary, the joyful, the sorrowful, all alike, and each, upon stepping onto its path of light, found peace in its embrace. The boat drifts slower now, as though nearing a shore unseen. The air is softer, the mist lighter. The moon's glow lingers, painting everything with silver calm. The ferryman rests his oar, and the boat glides of its own accord. The journey is not hurried. It does not end abruptly. It settles, like a breath fading into sleep. The moon remains above, steadfast, eternal. It has carried you here, as it has carried countless souls before. It will carry countless more. Its silver ferry never tires. Its light never fades. Now let the story close as gently as it began. The river grows still. The boat drifts slower, softer. The ferryman waits in silence. The moonlight folds around you like a blanket of silver. Its glow whispers, tender and calm. You are guided. You are safe. You are home. Let us drift onward. Now rest as the stars return, and the moon carries its ferry across the endless night. Night folds softly over the world. The air is cool, touched by the hush of unseen winds. The stars above are steady, unblinking, watching with patient calm. And beneath their quiet gaze, a story opens. A story of thresholds. A story of the guardians who wait at the edges, between one life and the next, between one breath and the silence that follows. Thresholds are gentle crossings. They are not endings nor beginnings, but moments of passage. Ancient people understood this. They believed that where life and death touched, the way was kept safe, for no soul could step across unguarded. At every border there stood watchers, sometimes animals, sometimes angels, sometimes spirit. Not to frighten, but to guide. Not to deny, but to keep the crossing holy. In Egypt, the threshold was the hall of Ma'at. There, the heart of the departed was placed upon the scales, and who watched over this delicate moment? A creature of many forms, part jackal, part man. Anubis, guardian of the gates, stood in silence. His eyes, dark as the desert night, saw through all shadows. With steady hands, he weighed the heart against the feather of truth. He was not cruel. He was not harsh. He was careful, as a guardian should be. For to step across into the eternal fields, one had to be light, free of heavy burden, and Anubis made sure the path was pure. The Greeks spoke of Kerberos, the three-headed hound who guarded the gates of Hades. Many feared his growl, his many eyes, his sharp teeth. But to the ancients, he was not only terror, he was also protection. He kept the living from straying where they did not belong, and he kept the departed safe within their resting place. Each head watched a different way, past, present, and future. No soul was left unnoticed. Kerberos stood not as punishment, but as certainty. For beyond the threshold, order had to remain, and the hound of Hades held it steady. Farther east, in Persia, the faith of Zoroaster spoke of a bridge. The Chinvat bridge stretched over the abyss, narrow as a blade for the wicked, wide as a road for the righteous. But no soul crossed it alone. Three beings stood there, protectors and judges, guardians and guides. They watched with clear eyes. They guided the worthy gently, their hands outstretched, steadying each step. And for those who faltered, they remained still, silent witnesses of choice. The threshold was always guarded, so that no soul ever faced it without presence. In Norse lands, where frost and fire met, there stood Heimdall, the shining guardian of Bifrost, the rainbow bridge. Heimdall, with his horn, his bright eyes, his ears that could hear the grass grow, kept watch day and night. For the bridge was delicate, woven of light, stretched between Midgard and Asgard. No enemy could pass without his notice. No traveler could cross without his gaze. And when the end of ages would come, Heimdall was destined to sound the great horn, calling gods and men alike. He was the keeper of the path, shining, eternal, steady at the threshold. In the lands of the Celts, animals were often seen at the edge of life and death. The stag, with its high antlers, was not only a creature of the forest, but also a guide. It appeared to souls wandering in mist, leading them into the other world. The hound, swift and silent, ran at the side of the dying, carrying them to meadows where the dead could rest. Even birds, ravens, owls, swans were believed to stand at thresholds, wings stretched wide, watching the moment of passage. They were not feared. They were signs that no soul crossed alone. In Jewish and Christian traditions, there are angels of threshold. Cherubim stood with flaming swords at the gates of Eden, keeping its sacred ground untouched. Michael the archangel guided the faithful at the hour of death, standing watch at the narrow crossing. Azrael, the angel of departure, was believed to stand at the bedside, gentle as a candle flame, lifting the soul like a feather carried on air. They were not only warriors of heaven, they were guardians of the in-between. They were the watchful ones, ensuring that the crossing was safe, sacred, and complete. And in Islam, too, traditions speak of guardians. Two angels, Munkar and Nakir, waited in the grave to ask the soul of its life, its faith, its truth. They were not tormentors, but keepers of the threshold, reminding each traveler of the weight of their journey. Beyond them, Ridwan guarded the gates of paradise, his face gentle, his voice kind. Even the thresholds of eternity were not bare. They were watched, protected, made holy. You drift deeper into this story. The guardians gather in your mind's eye. They are many, from many lands, yet they share one spirit. Some wear wings of white light. Some wear fur, feathers, or scales. Some hold swords, some hold staffs, some simply stand silent and still. But all are steady, all are present. Their task is the same, to keep the passage safe. Picture the threshold before you. It is neither frightening nor empty. It glows faintly, like the line where sea meets sky, like the edge of dawn. You stand before it, unhurried, calm. And there at your side are guardians, a hound with soft eyes, a bird whose wings glimmer in the moonlight, an angel whose hand is steady as stone yet gentle as water. They do not push. They do not pull. They only stand, keeping the way quiet, keeping the path clear. In every culture, these guardians remind us the crossing is not chaos. It is not loneliness. It is watched, cared for, kept whole. The world beyond is vast, yet its gates are not untended. The living may not see them, but the soul never steps forward without meeting their gaze. The guardians are patient. They wait for lifetimes. They stand in silence at doorways, beneath trees, by rivers, at bedside shadows. They do not sleep. They do not grow weary. They remain eternal keepers of the border. Their presence is the promise that death is not falling into nothing. It is stepping into a place already watched, already prepared, already safe. Now the night deepens. The stars burn softer, their light like dust upon the sky. The guardians remain in their quiet places, unseen yet near. Anubis with his careful scales, Kerberos with his many eyes, Heimdall with his horn of warning, the stag upon the forest path, the angels with their bright wings, all of them waiting, not with haste but with patience, endless and kind. You drift upon this thought, that there is no threshold unguarded, no soul steps forth alone. Always there is presence, always there is guidance, always there is light, whether by torch, by moon, or by wing. The crossing is safe, the crossing is gentle. Let the story settle now, like mist folding back into the night. The guardians remain at their posts, the thresholds remain quiet, calm, eternal. You are not yet called, but the keepers are there, and when the time comes, they will wait with steady hands, soft eyes, and unshaken presence. Rest now. Drift onward as the stars return. The guardians keep watch at every gate, so your dreams may wander in peace. The night opens like a curtain. The stars are pale blossoms above. The air is cool, touched with the quiet hush of unseen waters. And before you, the world softens into a dream of gardens deep with shade, gardens where the living cannot walk, but where souls once wandered slowly, as if carried by the breath of forgotten gods. In the old lands of Persia and Babylon, people imagined the afterlife not only as fire or judgment, but as a garden, sometimes lush with green, sometimes dim with shadow. It was not a place of punishment nor of perfect joy. It was something in between, a place where the soul rested, waiting, hidden under leaves that never withered. The Babylonians spoke of the Irkala, the land of no return. To many it seemed heavy and dim, yet even there they pictured gardens of shadow, where trees stretched their arms across the paths. The soil was dark but soft, the air was still but gentle, and the souls wandered, not in haste, not in sorrow, but in quiet endurance. They were remembered through offerings, bread, water, small gifts poured through stone. For without these the shade of the soul grew faint. The garden itself seemed to sigh, waiting for the living to call the dead by name. Persian belief, shaped by Zoroastrian thought, spoke of a garden as well. For the blessed, there was the paradisa, a walled paradise filled with clear waters and trees heavy with fruit. It was the root of the word paradise. Here moonlight touched the branches and stars rested like petals on the grass. The soul walked in coolness, safe behind walls that guarded from harm. And yet, for others, there was also a garden more somber, a place where shadows grew deep, where the spirit lingered until its path became clear. Imagine it now. You drift between these two visions. On one side, the garden of abundance, lit by streams that sparkle like silver threads. Pomegranates hang heavy, their skins glowing like rubies in the starlight. Birds of soft feathers move from tree to tree, their songs hushed, like lullabies that never end. The air is sweet, perfumed by unseen blossoms. It is a place of calm delight, where the soul feels whole, tended and unafraid. On the other side lies the garden of shadows. The light is dim, yet not harsh. The trees are tall, their branches tangled, their leaves whispering softly to one another. Shadows stretch across the ground, not as chains, but as veils. The souls walk slowly, their footsteps soundless, their eyes turned inward. Here, memory clings like mist, and longing breathes from every stone. Yet even in this place there is no cruelty, only stillness, only the silence of waiting. The Persians told of bridges and reckonings, of choices that split the road, and they spoke of gardens as resting places along the way. The lush garden was a reward, a home for the spirit made light. The shadowed garden was a pause, a place for the soul to wander until it was ready to move on. Both were sacred. Both were held in the care of unseen hands. In Babylon, the goddess Ereshkigal ruled over the great shadowy realm. She was queen of the underworld, her throne rooted deep in the earth. But even her kingdom was not barren. It was filled with halls and with gardens where shades gathered like fallen leaves. They whispered together, voices like the rustle of wind through reeds. No torment, no burning, only the long hush of stillness, tended by shadows themselves. You drift deeper now. The garden grows around you. You can almost feel the coolness of stone beneath your feet. You hear the faint trickle of unseen water. In the distance, lanterns glow faintly, their flames never trembling, their light steady but dim. The souls you pass are calm. Some sit beneath trees, hands folded. Some walk slowly down paths lined with dark blossoms. None hurry, none despair. It is a place of surrender where time has no weight. The Garden of Shadows is not a prison. It is a mirror. Each soul sees what it has carried. Some see beauty, and the garden blooms bright around them. Some see sorrow, and the garden deepens into dusk. But always the trees remain. Always the water flows. Always the night bends softly overhead. In these old beliefs, the garden was more than a setting. It was a teacher. It showed the living that the soul's journey was not sharp or sudden. It unfolded gently like petals. It deepened slowly like roots beneath soil. Death was not only an end, it was a garden walk, a drifting beneath branches, a pause where the soul could breathe again. Listen now. Can you hear the leaves? They murmur as the wind moves through them. They speak of patience. They speak of return. Every culture imagined some kind of resting place. And here, in Persia and Babylon, it was shaped like a garden, half dream, half shadow, always alive with mystery. You may see the lush side more clearly. You may feel drawn to the shadow side, but both belong to the same realm. They balance one another like light and dusk, like moon and sun. The soul needs both, the cool shade to rest, the bright garden to rejoice. Together they form the whole path of eternity. The night drifts deeper now. The garden softens, dissolving into mist. The souls grow faint, like figures in a dream just before waking. The trees stretch higher, then fade. The waters fall silent. All becomes still as the story folds itself closed. Rest gently now. The Garden of Shadows remains, waiting quietly beyond time. It does not fade. It does not vanish. It is always there, at the edge of dreams, where souls walk in silence beneath the stars. And as you drift, you carry its peace with you. Soft shade, cool water, eternal calm. Let us drift onward. Now rest. As the stars return, the night is still. A silver moon hangs low, quiet as a lantern in the sky. The stars shimmer like watchful eyes, soft and kind. The air carries no weight, only a faint hush like breath over water. You drift once more into the world of story. Here the ancient ones wait. Their voices do not come loudly. They do not startle. They arrive as whispers, as echoes folded into dreams. They come as a gentle stream of memory, weaving its way through the heart. In many lands, across mountains and rivers, people believed the ancestors never vanished. They lingered near, unseen yet close. Their voices alive in the winds, in the flicker of a flame, in the hush of sleep. They were guardians of memory, keepers of wisdom, messengers of quiet love. In Africa, beneath vast skies where the stars shine brighter than fire, it was said that the ancestors spoke through dreams. A sleeper might see a familiar face in the night, a grandmother bending to hand them water, a father guiding them down a path. The dream was not only dream, it was teaching carried across the veil of sleep. The people called it the returning breath, for when the living slept, their breath joined with the breath of those who had passed. The two worlds touched, as dawn touches night, not breaking it, only blending, soft, seamless, eternal. In the temples of Egypt, incense drifted like smoke from the desert fire. Priests and priestesses kept vigil in chambers where the air shimmered with scent. They believed the dead could step gently into dream, carrying guidance for those still walking under the sun. To dream of an ancestor was not to be haunted, it was to be held. It was to be reminded that the thread of family never tore, even when death had passed through. Sometimes the message was simple, a blessing before harvest, a reminder to stay humble. Sometimes it was a warning of storms to come, not to cause fear, but to keep the living safe. Always, the voice of ancestors was steady, calm, never rushed. It was the voice of patience. Far in the snowy north, among the Sami and the old tribes of the ice, firelight cracked in the deep of winter nights. The people would listen as the wind swept over the frozen plains. They believed it carried the songs of the dead, not sorrowful songs, but lullabies, tunes that curled around the ears of children as they drifted into sleep. The voice of a mother long gone, the hum of a father who once sang by the fire. Dreams held these voices like rivers hold moonlight. They called such dreams the listening place, for in them, one did not only see visions, one listened, one received, as if the whole body became an ear, open to the oldest love. In the heart of Babylon, where gardens climbed toward the heavens and the rivers flowed like threads of silver, there were whispering traditions too. It was said that the dead could walk gently through the gates of night, carrying seeds of wisdom into the hearts of the sleeping. Some called them shadow voices, not shadows of fear, but shadows of shelter, a cool shade beneath which the weary might rest. If a dream came heavy with silence, it was not emptiness, it was presence. For silence itself was a language, spoken by those who needed no tongue. The ancestors were said to press their love into silence, like ink upon parchment. And when morning came, the dreamer awoke with a knowing they could not explain. They simply understood. The dead had spoken. Among the native peoples of the vast forests and plains, dreams were woven into every step of life. They believed the ancestors sat by the fires of the dream world, watching the sleeping souls. Sometimes they would send an animal guide, a bird, a wolf, a deer, to carry the voice of the old ones. Other times they appeared themselves, wrapped in light, not bound by age or wound. Dreams were sacred. A person who dreamed of their ancestors was never alone again. The voice in the dream might whisper, "Walk this way." It might murmur, "You are loved." And it was enough to guide a lifetime. There is a stillness when we speak of this, a rhythm that falls like slow rain. For the voice of ancestors is never rushed. It is patient as the mountains. It is soft as ash from an ancient fire. Even now, when you lie beneath your blanket of night, the thought remains. What if the dreams you carry are not only yours? What if the whispers belong to them? Those who walked before you, those who breathed the same air, touched the same earth. It is a comforting thought to imagine the invisible company of those who cared, still near. The Maori of the distant seas told stories of the Waka Papa, the sacred line that ties one to every ancestor before them. Each dream was a reminder of this bond, a thread that never snapped. Even when oceans of time seemed to stretch between generations, the dreams carried them back together. It was said that when the ancestors spoke in dreams, they were not only guiding, they were reminding the living that they belonged, that they had a place, as tree roots belong to soil, as stars belong to sky. The Celts, too, believed the veil grew thin in the quiet hours of night. A soul at rest might hear a whisper from a mother, a father, or even a distant ancestor unknown to them by name. The dream was a bridge, a way across. No voice was ever lost, for the echoes lived on in the chambers of the spirit. Some said that when the wind swept through stone circles, it was not only the air moving, it was the voices of those who had gone before, soft, round, echoing between stone and sky. They called to the sleepers, and in their dreams, the sleepers heard. The wisdom of the ancestors was not always words. Sometimes it came as symbols, a cup overflowing with water, a field lit by moonlight, a door half open. The dreamer woke with a feeling, a knowing without explanation. This too was the voice of the dead, not speech, but presence, not command, but guidance. Like ripples on still water, the message spread gently, never harsh, always calm. And so across the world, in deserts and forests, in icy plains and sacred temples, the belief remained the same, that the dead did not abandon, that the ancestors still spoke, that the dreams of the living were woven with whispers, with quiet lessons, with love that time could not erase. Tonight, as you lie in the hush of your own chamber, you may imagine it, the gentle company of countless souls who came before, their hands upon your shoulders, light as air, their words like rivers beneath the ground, flowing unseen but always present. They wait, not with demands, not with fear, but with patience, patient as the stars above. And now, as the night deepens, you may rest in that thought, that you are never alone in sleep, that the dream is a bridge, that whispers may come, soft as feathers, gentle as breath. The voice of the ancestors drifts near, not to disturb, but to cradle, not to awaken, but to lull. Let the quiet return. Let the stars hold you. Let the dream open like a gate of silver. The ancestors wait, not beyond, but within. Their whispers are rivers, their voices are winds, and their love is endless. Now rest, for the night is deep and the voices of the old ones sing softly, guiding you toward sleep, guiding you toward peace. Let us drift onward. Let us fade into silence. The voice of the ancestors remains. The night lies open like a scroll of dark velvet. Stars glitter as if written in silver ink. The air is still, carrying only the low breath of unseen winds. The moon floats high, round and pale, casting a tender glow upon the dream world. You drift once more, gently carried toward an ancient teaching, the story of a bridge as thin as a blade, yet shining with light, a path every soul must cross, moving from the world of dust to the world of spirit. This is the Bridge of Swords. In the sacred stories of Zoroastrian faith, it was called the Chinvat. It was said to stretch across the deep abyss that divides life from eternity. A narrow passage, sharp as a razor's edge. Beneath it, darkness. Beyond it, radiant gardens of light. The soul, they believed, did not wander alone. On the third night after death, when the body lay silent and the fire of life had gone, the soul rose. It lingered at first, close to the earth, hearing the voices of kin, the prayers whispered at the hearth. And then, like mist lifted by dawn, the soul began its journey. At the edge of the unseen world, the Chinvat Bridge awaited, a crossing place, a test not of strength nor of wealth, but of the heart. The bridge did not look the same to every traveler. For the righteous it widened, broad as a shining road, smooth as silk. For the soul heavy with unkindness it grew narrow, sharp, trembling underfoot, like the edge of a sword. The path itself revealed the truth within. In the Zoroastrian vision, each soul was met by a companion. This companion was not a stranger. It was the spirit of the soul's own deeds, woven together as one. They called her Dana. To those who had lived with care, she appeared as a maiden, radiant, clothed in beauty, gentle as dawn. Her eyes carried kindness, and her hands guided with calm. But for those who had walked with cruelty, she came as shadow, a withered figure, heavy and harsh, not to punish but to mirror what had been carried within. The soul faced itself, and in that reflection, truth was revealed. The crossing of the Chinvat Bridge was not done in silence. 3 beings stood guard. The first was Mithra, the eternal witness of oaths. He was keeper of truth, measuring the weight of promises kept and broken. Beside him stood Rashnu, the just one, holding scales balanced with care. Every action, no matter how small, was set upon those scales. And there was Srausha, the spirit of obedience and listening, who guided the soul with voice as soft as wind. Together, these guardians watched. Not with anger, not with haste, but with patience as steady as the stars. They did not strike, they did not harm, they simply revealed. The righteous soul, lightened by good deeds and kind words, found the bridge wide beneath their feet. Their steps were sure. The maiden Dana led them with gentle hand, and at the far end, paradise opened. It was called the House of Song, a realm filled with fragrance, with flowing rivers, with birds whose wings shimmered like dawn. Here, there was no hunger, no cold, no sorrow, only harmony. The soul joined in chorus, voices rising together like streams meeting the sea. But for the soul burdened by cruelty, the bridge quivered like a blade. The steps grew unsure. The abyss yawned below, filled with smoke and sorrow. The maiden Dana, now twisted into shadow, turned her face away. The bridge narrowed to nothing, and the soul slipped, falling into the house of lies. There the air was heavy. The rivers ran bitter. The sky closed in, without star, without moon. It was not endless punishment, but the weight of one's own shadow, lived without escape. This teaching was not told to frighten. It was told to guide. The bridge was a mirror, a path of truth. Each soul built its own passage, day by day, through word, through deed, through thought. Kindness widened the bridge. Cruelty thinned it to a blade. The crossing was simply the unfolding of what was already carried within. Imagine the scene now, slow and still. The bridge stretches like silver across the abyss. Beneath it, a darkness vast and silent. Above it, stars burn like eternal lamps. The soul stands at the edge, waiting. Beside them, the figure of Dana takes shape, and in that reflection, the soul knows. The guardians wait with calm eyes. Mithra with his light, Rashnu with his scales, Srausha with his listening. They do not hurry the soul. They simply stand, patient as mountains. And when the first step is taken, the bridge responds, widening with love, or trembling with fear. Every step is truth, every step is memory. To the listener of these old tales, the lesson was clear but always gentle. Live with care so the bridge may open wide. Speak with truth so the scales rest steady. Listen with humility so Srausha walks near. For in the end, the soul is never judged by words alone, but by the song it has woven through its days. Even now, in the hush of this night, you may picture it. The bridge shining across the dream, a path of silver suspended in stillness, below the abyss silent and endless. Above stars shimmer, like watchful ancestors. The bridge is not far away. It is close, folded within your spirit. For every choice, every word, every act builds its shape. Every kindness lays a stone. Every truth adds light. Every moment of care widens the way. And so, as you drift in this quiet hour, Let the image soothe you. A bridge not of fear, but of peace. A bridge that shows the soul its own reflection, tenderly, honestly, without haste. The abyss is silent. The stars are bright, and the guardians stand watch, steady as time itself. Now, let your breath grow soft. Let the vision fade into calm. The bridge stretches into distance, disappearing into silver mist. The soul rests at its edge, waiting for dawn. The abyss closes, the stars return. All is still, let us drift onward. The bridge of swords fades into shadow, and the night carries you deeper into rest. The night is hushed. The mountains sleep beneath a veil of mist. Above them, the stars rest in stillness, each one glowing like a tiny ember in the wide hearth of the heavens. You drift gently into this quiet. The air is cool, carrying the faint fragrance of pine and wild herbs. Somewhere in the distance, an owl calls softly. The sound fades into silence, leaving only the rhythm of your breath. And there, on the slopes of an ancient mountain, a flame burns. It has burned for centuries. It flickers with patience, never hurried, never fading. This is the flame of Delphi, a light that was said to be born of the gods, a fire that guided spirits back to the source of all life. In the old lands of Greece, Delphi was not merely a place. It was a center, a heart of the world. The people called it the navel of the earth, where heaven and soil touched through hidden threads. There, between stone pillars and marble paths, the eternal flame burned, tended with devotion. The flame was more than fire. To the mystery cults and seekers who gathered there, it was breath, the breath of gods, a living bridge between mortal and divine. For when fire moved, it danced like spirit, rising, reaching, never bound to the earth. In the hush of night, the temple would glow with its light. The stone walls turned golden. The shadows deepened in corners, swaying like silent figures. Pilgrims came, their hearts carrying questions. They did not always seek answers of the mind. Many came to feel the warmth, to stand before the flame and sense a thread of eternity. It was said that within the fire, voices spoke, not in words of men, but in murmurs of wind and sparks, in the way the flame bent and flared. Some believed these whispers belonged to Apollo, the god of light and prophecy. Others felt it was the earth itself breathing, the spirit of Gaia, mother and source. To the Greek mystery cults, fire was the most sacred of gifts. They called it divine, because it could not be held. It could be carried, yes, but never possessed. It consumed and transformed, yet never lost its own nature. A spark lit from the eternal flame was thought to carry divinity within it. It was a guide for the living, and a lantern for the soul after death. In funeral rites, torches were lit. Their flames whispered of safe passage, their light showing the spirit a way through the unseen. Just as the sun carried day into night, so too did the sacred fire carry the soul into new realms. In Delphi, the eternal flame was kept with great care. Priestesses, veiled and quiet, tended to it. They walked with slow grace, their movements soft as drifting leaves. Oil was poured with reverence. The flame bowed and rose as though nodding to the devotion of human hands. To sit before it was to sit before eternity. The mind would soften, thoughts slowing, as the fire's rhythm lulled the heart. Each flicker seemed like a breath, a reminder that the divine was alive, woven into the smallest sparks. Legends tell that Prometheus once stole fire from the heavens, bringing it to humankind as a gift. For this he bore great suffering, yet his act was remembered as love. In the mysteries, fire was not only gift, but a sign of kinship between human and God. To tend fire was to remember that bond. To lose fire was to feel distant from the divine. And so the flame of Delphi was never allowed to die. When storms raged, it was guarded. When winds roared, it was sheltered. When festivals filled the city with joy, the flame still burned, steady at the heart. Pilgrims would gather in silence. Some closed their eyes, listening to the faint crackle, the whisper of wood and oil. Some gazed at the flame until the world around them melted and only light remained. In that stillness, they felt the breath of gods, not far, not distant, but near, as close as the warmth on their skin. In the mysteries of death and spirit, the flame played its part as guide. It was said that when the soul left the body, it moved like smoke, like fire rising toward the unseen. If tended with honor, the soul's flame would not scatter into darkness, but would be lifted toward the light. The eternal flame reminded all who gazed upon it that life itself was fire, a spark within the heart. When the body slept, the flame still glowed inside. When the body passed, the flame was set free. Imagine now the quiet temple, columns reaching high, their shadows long under moonlight. The mountains cradle the place in still arms, and in the center, the flame moves gently, each flicker like a heartbeat, each glow like the warmth of spirit. The air is calm, the stone floor cool beneath bare feet. The silence is deep, yet never empty, for the fire hums softly, a hymn without words. You sit before it, drifting. Your eyes grow heavy, the flame blurs, and yet its warmth stays with you, carrying you inward, into the garden of your own breath. To those who once tended it, the flame was promise. A promise that no soul was forgotten. A promise that the divine spark within would always return to the great fire. And so the cults and seekers honored it with song, with incense, with prayers rising like smoke. Every flicker was a reminder. The gods breathed through the world. Every flame was a path, guiding souls back home. The story of Delphi's fire is not only of the past. It lingers, like embers glowing even when the wood has turned to ash. The idea that light guides, that warmth comforts, that fire connects, still rests in the human heart. In your own stillness now, the flame glows within. It does not burn the skin. It does not harm. It is the soft light of life itself, steady and calm, waiting in the quiet center of your being. So let the image soften you. A temple beneath the stars, stone pillars standing watch. The eternal flame, patient and bright, rising without end. It flickers in silence. It glows with tenderness. It guides without word or hand. It reminds every soul you are not lost. You are part of the divine fire. Now let the temple fade. The flame dims into dreamlight. The mountains return to mist. The stars open their gentle eyes again, and you drift deeper, carried on the breath of the gods. Now rest, as the eternal flame glows quietly within. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as the night carries you further into peace. The night is still. The sea lies quiet beneath the sky, its surface smooth as black glass. The stars above shimmer faintly, their light touching the water like silver dust. You are drifting here, at the edge of both land and dream. The tide breathes softly, moving in and out like the lungs of the earth itself. The air is cool, touched by salt. A gentle mist hangs low, and from it emerges a shape, the long, graceful outline of a ship. It waits as if timeless, its hull carved with symbols of forgotten gods, its mast reaching upward like a silent prayer. The ship of souls, a vessel not of wood alone, but of spirit, woven with myth, carrying those who journey beyond. Across many lands and many ages, the soul was thought to be a traveler. It could not remain bound to earth forever. It longed for passage, for return, for reunion with what lies beyond. And so the people imagined a ship, a sacred vessel, sailing not only on water, but on the sea of stars. In the north, among the forests and fjords, the people of the Norse looked to the sea. To them, the soul was like a voyager. When life's fire grew dim, the body was placed upon a ship or carved into its likeness. Flames touched the vessel, and as smoke rose into the sky, so too did the soul rise, sailing into the realm of the gods. The ship was not only wood and sail, it was a bridge, a passage to Valhalla, to the shining hall where warriors feasted, or perhaps to the quiet fields of Folkvanger, where Freya welcomed the gentle-hearted. The ship carried the spirit across unseen tides, guided by stars, escorted by whispers of the wind. Far to the south, in the deserts where the Nile flows like a ribbon of eternity, the Egyptians too dreamed of the ship of souls. They looked to the heavens and saw a bark, the solar boat of Ra. Each day the god sailed his golden vessel across the sky, bringing light to the world. And each night he journeyed through the dark waters of the underworld, battling shadows, emerging renewed with dawn. To the people of Egypt, the soul joined this eternal voyage. At death it entered the great celestial boat, sailing with Ra among the stars. The night sky itself was seen as a river, the Milky Way, a luminous stream, along which the spirits drifted toward the eternal horizon. The tombs of kings and seekers alike were painted with these ships, long, elegant forms, their prows tipped with lotus flowers, their sails open to the wind of eternity. It was a promise, a comfort, that the soul would not wander alone. A vessel awaited, a ship that knew the way. Imagine now, this ship before you. It does not belong to one land or one people. It is born of both stories, woven from north and south, sea and desert, wood and star. Its hull glows with the faint sheen of starlight. The planks are smooth as if shaped by centuries of waves. The mast rises steady, and the sail breathes gently with the night wind. No oars dip into the water, yet it moves, silent, as though carried by unseen hands. You step aboard, your body light, your heart quiet. The deck is warm, and the air carries the faint scent of cedar and myrrh. Above, the stars open their path. Below, the water reflects them, as though you sail between two skies. The ship begins to glide. It leaves the shore, yet no fear follows. There is no storm, no danger. Only stillness. Only peace. Around you, constellations bloom. The stars gather like guardians, their patterns guiding the way. The north remembers the dragon who coils through the sky, the serpent of Midgard encircling the earth. The south remembers the goddess Nut, her body stretched wide, holding the firmament in her embrace. The ship sails on, moving not just through water, but through memory, through myth, through the breath of countless prayers spoken across ages. In the quiet of the voyage, you feel the presence of others, not in bodies, but in warmth, in gentle glimmers of light. They are souls, travelers like you, moving with the same tide. Each carries its own story, its own song, and yet, together, all are part of the great river, the endless migration of life to light. You sense their calm. No soul is hurried. No soul is lost. The ship knows the way. The stars hold the map, and the tide never fails to carry them home. The Norse spoke of funeral ships burning on the sea. Their flames leapt upward, and those left behind watched until the light was swallowed by distance. It was not an ending, but a release, a way for the soul's fire to rise into the sky. The Egyptians spoke of Ra's golden bark, forever renewed, forever carrying the souls of the faithful. Each dawn was proof of his victory, each sunrise a reminder that the journey continued. To them, the ship was eternal, never broken, never lost, always ready to carry. Both visions whisper the same truth. The soul is not abandoned. It is carried. It is guided. It sails upon the eternal tide. Now the ship glides deeper. The sea around you darkens, yet never feels heavy. The stars above grow brighter, their reflections rippling softly on the waves. The mast hums with a faint tone, a music without sound, as if the very air sings. You drift into stillness. Each breath is slow, like the steady pull of the tide. Each thought softens like the foam dissolving into the sea. Time fades here. There is no rush, no measure. Only the ship, the sea, the stars. At the far horizon, a gentle glow appears, not harsh, not sudden. A soft radiance, like dawn hidden behind a veil. The ship moves toward it, patient and calm. It does not matter if the journey is long. The soul does not tire. It does not grow restless. It rests in trust, in the knowing that the tide carries it true. The glow grows nearer. It welcomes not with noise, but with silence deeper than the sea. It feels like home. It feels like return. The ship slows, its sail folding softly, as if bowing to the horizon. The journey is not an end, but a passage, a door opening to realms unseen. You stand upon the deck, your heart quiet, your spirit at ease. The stars remain above you. The sea remains below. And yet you know a new shore waits. The ship of souls has carried you to the threshold. And now, let the image soften. The glow fades into dreamlight. The sea turns to mist. The ship becomes a memory of wood and starlight. You remain in stillness, resting in the quiet tide of your own breath. The soul is never lost. It is always carried, always guided, always welcomed by the stars. Let us drift onward now. Let the sea of sleep hold you gently. Let the ship of souls sail quietly within, its mast rising into dream, its sail opening to peace. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as the tide carries you deeper. Now rest as the night guides you home. The night is gentle. A quiet sky spreads above, stirred only by the hush of drifting clouds. The air is calm, a cool veil settling over the earth. The stars gleam softly, like lanterns suspended in an endless hall. You lie between wakefulness and sleep, resting at the threshold. It is here, in this twilight of the mind, that the ancients once believed a secret door appeared. They spoke of dreams, not as illusions, but as gateways. They were rehearsals for the soul's long journey, a gentle practice for the passage into eternity. In temples and mystery schools, seekers gathered in silence. They came to learn the ways of sleep, to honor its hidden language. They laid down upon cool stone floors or beneath painted ceilings of stars and allowed themselves to drift. To them, closing the eyes was not an ending, but a beginning, a ritual as sacred as prayer. They believed that the soul loosened in slumber like a bird untied from its cage. It rose upon invisible wings, gliding into realms unseen. There, among dreams, shadows, and lights, messages waited. Lessons whispered. Visions touched the soul like dew upon morning grass. In the lands of Egypt, priests taught that the dream world mirrored the afterlife. As the body lay still, the Ka, the vital spirit, stepped beyond the walls of flesh. It wandered across landscapes of desert and river, fields of reeds and halls of judgment. In these journeys, the soul rehearsed the path it would one day take beyond the final breath. To the Egyptians, dreams were not simple fancies. They were rehearsals, practice voyages across the night river. Each vision prepared the soul for its eventual crossing, ensuring it would not be lost when the body's time was done. Far across the Aegean Sea, the Greeks also turned their eyes inward. In their mystery schools, they spoke of dreams as bridges. The body lay in the silence of sleep, but the mind opened doors. In those hours, the soul walked corridors of eternity. At the healing temples of Asclepius, the seekers rested in sacred chambers, their heads upon stone pillows. They prayed for dreams that would bring guidance. They believed that God himself would appear, offering cures, offering hope. The dream became medicine. The dream became prophecy. Other traditions whispered similar truths. In Persia, the Magi spoke of the soul as a flame that never died, only shifted from form to form. At night, this flame flickered into dream, tasting the edges of the eternal. It was in these glimpses that wisdom was given. Among the ancient Celts, the Druids listened to dream visions as if they were oracles. The other world touched the mind through symbols, through the flight of birds in sleep, through rivers that gleamed silver in the night of the spirit. Every dream was a doorway. Every dream a quiet step across the veil. And so, across deserts, forests, and seas, one belief remained the same. Dreams were not accidents. They were rehearsals, gateways, bridges built of shadow and light, carrying the soul gently toward eternity. Now imagine yourself within this ancient wisdom. The body lies still, like a temple carved from stone. Breath moves softly, like the tide of a hidden ocean. The eyes are closed, yet within them a new sky begins to open. You drift into this inner sky. It is vast, yet tender. Clouds move like veils, lifting to reveal mountains that shine with silver light. A river flows here, its waters dark yet clear, carrying reflections of stars you do not yet know. This is the river of dream. It does not rush, it does not force. It simply carries gently as though it knows the way better than you. You step into its current.
The water does not wet your skin.
It lifts you, like arms carrying a child. You float, weightless. As the river glides onward, around you shapes appear. Some are familiar, faces you have seen, places you remember. Others are strange, woven of symbol and song. A bird of golden feathers hovers above the water. It does not speak, yet its gaze calms you. You understand without words. It is a guide. It has always been near. Farther along the river, you pass through a meadow of lilies. Their fragrance rises in the air, sweet and soft, as if woven from memory itself. Each flower bends slightly as you pass, as though bowing to the traveler. In the dream, time dissolves. There is no urgency, no demand, only unfolding, only drifting. The river carries you through forests of starlight, across plains where shadows dance slowly, through gates made of mist. At every turn, you feel a gentle truth. The dream is not foreign. It is not apart from you. It is your own soul, stretching, reaching, remembering its path home. The ancients believed that when death arrived, the soul would not be lost. It had already practiced this journey 1,000 times in dreams. Each night was a rehearsal. Each night was a lesson. And so, when the final sleep came, the soul would know how to move, how to cross, how to find its way into the eternal light. The river of dream begins to widen now. Ahead, the waters open into a great sea. Its surface shines like molten silver, stretching endlessly. Yet there is no fear, only quiet awe. The sea welcomes as though it has always waited. Your guide, the golden bird, flies ahead into the light. The lilies, the forests, the gates of mist, all fade into the horizon behind you. You sail into silence, and the silence feels like peace. This is what the ancients saw. dreams as doors, sleep as rehearsal. Every night a small journey into forever. Every dream, a quiet reminder that the soul is endless and the stars are never far. Now the sea of dream dissolves. The river fades into mist. The golden bird becomes a spark, returning to the sky of memory. You are left resting in stillness. Breath moves gently. The body lies quiet. The gateway has closed for now, yet its truth remains. Dreams are not faraway lands. They are gentle rehearsals. They are bridges of light. They are gateways that lead not away, but home. Let us drift onward now. Let the river of dream carry you deeper. Let your soul rest in its quiet rehearsal. Let the stars of eternity draw near. Now rest as the stars return. Now rest as the dreams open their gates. Now rest, carried by the eternal tide of sleep. The night unfolds like a scroll of velvet sky, slow and unhurried. Above, the stars shimmer like lamps placed gently in the heavens. The air is hushed, as though even the winds have chosen silence. Here, in this softness, begins the tale of the labyrinth. A hidden place, imagined by ancient minds, where the soul wandered after death. It was said that the path beyond this life was not a straight road, not a single bridge, nor a flight of steps, but a maze, a place of turns and twists, a place where wisdom was the torch and courage the key. The labyrinth was not built of stone, though sometimes it was pictured as walls of marble or clay. It was made instead of shadows and light, corridors woven from memory, passages born of choice, each turn carrying the soul deeper into mystery, deeper into the long night of eternity. Listen softly now, as the story drifts across cultures and times. In the ancient lands of Egypt, the soul passed through chambers guarded by hidden names. The spirits whispered questions, and only truth could unlock the doors. To walk the labyrinth was to walk through the layers of one's own being. The heart was weighed. The silence tested. The courage called forth. In Greece, too, a labyrinth lived in story, the great maze of Crete, where the Minotaur dwelt. But beyond the myth of hero and beast lay a deeper image. The labyrinth was a mirror of the soul's trial, to lose oneself, to wander in the dim corridors, and at last to find the center, the stillness, the sacred heart. So too in other lands the maze appeared, among the Celts, carved upon stones as spirals, lines that wound inward like the curl of the seashell, a sign that the path to spirit was not quick. It was winding, it was slow, yet always, if walked with patience, it led to the center, and from the center, it led back again. Picture now the labyrinth. Its entrance is before you, wide as a gate, yet quiet as a whisper. The floor is smooth, cool to the touch, as if polished by ages of footsteps. The walls rise like gentle hills, curving left, curving right. They do not threaten, they only guide. The air is calm, scented with stone and earth. Somewhere far above, the stars glow, though no ceiling hides them. The maze is open to the night sky, open to the eternal. You take a step. The sound is soft, like a leaf settling upon the ground. You drift forward. The path bends. It is not straight, yet it does not confuse you. You are held within its rhythm, left, then right, then forward again. Each turn is like a breath, each corner like a heartbeat. In the hidden labyrinth, fear cannot live. There is no need for haste. No danger waits in the shadows, only reflection, only the slow unfolding of understanding. The ancients believed that within such a maze the soul learned its own depths. It was not a trap, but a teacher. The walls spoke of patience, the twists taught surrender, and the long winding journey showed that the end was not separate from the beginning, but part of the same great circle. In temples of old, priests would guide seekers into sacred labyrinths, sometimes drawn upon the ground, sometimes walked in gardens. sometimes only held in the mind. The seeker would walk slowly, step by step, inward toward the center, and there, in the heart of the labyrinth, they would pause, they would pray, they would listen. Then they would walk outward again, and though the path out was the same, they were not the same. Something within had shifted, as rivers shift the stones they pass. Something had deepened. Something had become quiet. The labyrinth was both journey and return. It was descent and ascent. It was forgetting and remembering, a mirror of life and of the afterlife beyond. The hidden labyrinth of the soul was said to welcome those who had crossed into death. Here they would wander gently, guided not by fear, but by memory. They would recall the kindness they had given, the words they had spoken, the truth they had carried in their hearts. Each memory a torch, each act of love a map. Some doors opened only with honesty, some corridors cleared only with courage, and so the soul, in its wandering, grew lighter. The maze did not punish, it purified, until at last the center was reached, a place of stillness, a place of light, the hidden heart of eternity. Imagine now the center of your own labyrinth. It is not far away. It waits like a gentle flame, steady and calm. You draw nearer with each soft step. The air grows warmer, the silence deeper, and then the path opens. The center is before you. It is a circle of light. The ground is smooth, glowing faintly as though made of moonstone. No walls confine you now. The stars above pour their silver into this still place. You rest in the heart of the labyrinth, safe, held, complete. The ancients said that to reach this place was to touch eternity, not the eternity of endless time, but the eternity of stillness, the place where nothing is lost, where all paths are one, where the journey itself is the destination. Stay here for a while. Let the calm settle like dew upon you. Let the quiet fold around you, like the wings of a great bird resting. Here, there is no searching, no striving, only presence, only peace. And when the soul is ready, it turns again. It begins the outward path, back through the corridors, back through the turns. Yet the way is easier now, for the heart carries the center within it. The flame does not leave, it shines with each step, guiding gently outward. So too, life was seen as a labyrinth. The days twist and turn. The years bend unexpectedly. Sometimes the way seems long, sometimes the walls seem close. But always, if one continues with patience, the path leads onward. Always, the center waits, both within and beyond. The hidden labyrinth is not only for the dead, it is for the living too. For each dream you enter, for each silence you keep, for each prayer you whisper. All are steps upon its winding floor. And so, in the softness of this night, let the image linger. A maze without fear, a path without hurry, a journey that is not meant to be solved, but to be walked. Each turn a breath, each step a heartbeat, each moment a gentle unfolding toward the center of peace. The labyrinth drifts now into silence. Its corridors soften into mist. The stars above remain, steady and bright. And you rest at the center, safe, still, eternal. Let us drift onward now, through the dream, through the night, through the gentle silence of sleep. The hidden labyrinth is within you, and it will always guide you home. Night stretches across the sky like a cloak of velvet. The stars glimmer, steady and calm, like embers resting in the hearth of the heavens. The air is soft, touched by a hush that seems to carry ancient voices, and in this stillness we enter the dream of wide meadows, endless and green, the fields of the eternal hunt. For some, the afterlife was pictured as gardens, as rivers, as halls of peace. But in the stories of the Norse and in the songs of the Celts, there was another vision, a vision of boundless plains, alive with wind and motion. Here the soul was not weary. Here the spirit was not at rest in stillness. Instead, it was filled with joy, in the rhythm of pursuit, in the dance of the eternal hunt. The Norse spoke of warriors entering great fields after death. They rode beneath skies of shifting colors. Auroras, like rivers of green and gold, danced above them. Their feet touched soft grass that stretched without end. In those meadows, they chased the deer of light. They followed the wild boar, sacred and strong. Each day began anew, each chase renewed, with no exhaustion, no loss. Only the thrill of motion, the song of freedom in the wind. In Celtic lands, too, tales were told of the otherworld hunts. The otherworld was not heavy or dark. It was shining, bright, and endless. Horses with coats like moonlight galloped across its hills. Hounds with eyes like fire leapt at their side. The chase never harmed, for the creatures of the hunt were eternal. They fell, only to rise again, whole and laughing. The game was joy itself, not conquest. The hunt was eternity in play. Imagine now those fields stretching before you. The grass shimmers with dew, silver as starlight. The horizon is wide, unbroken, a gentle line where land meets sky. There is no boundary, no wall, only freedom. The air is alive with the faint sound of horns, far and melodic. Not harsh but soothing, like music drifting on the wind. You step into the meadow. The earth is springy beneath your feet, soft as moss. The air tastes of pine and clean water. A breeze moves gently across your skin, cool and comforting. Ahead, you see movement. The glimmer of a white stag, tall and graceful, its antlers branching like silver trees. It turns, looking toward you, and for a moment, the world seems to pause. Then with a leap it drifts forward, not fleeing. Inviting, the chase begins. You do not run with strain, you glide. Your body is light, effortless, like a bird in flight. The ground passes beneath you without weight. The stag moves ahead, its form glowing, guiding you deeper into the fields. You follow, not to capture, not to conquer, but to join the rhythm of eternity. The ancients said that in this endless pursuit, there was no loss. Each hunt renewed itself with the rising sun. Each creature was reborn, never harmed. The cycle was joy, eternal and bright. It was the promise that life never ended, only changed its form. The hunter and the hunted were both blessed. Both played their part in the dance of forever. The Celts told of the wild hunt, a host that rode across the skies. Its sound was the rush of wind, the call of thunder. But in its softer telling, the wild hunt was not terror, but passage. The souls of the dead were guided by its movement. Riders carried them across the horizon from one world to the next. The hunt was not only chase, it was also escort, a way of being carried into the other world, swift and safe. The Norse, too, imagined such escorts. The Valkyries rode their steeds across the sky, gathering the fallen. They bore them into meadows where hunts never ended, where feasts followed every chase. There was no hunger, no weariness, only renewal, only joy. Now breathe into the vision. See the hunters ride, not fierce but radiant. Their horses' manes stream like rivers of gold. Their hounds leap, joyful and free, their paws never tiring. The horns call again, soft and distant, a melody of eternity. And above them, the sky shifts in colors, ribbons of green, violet, and silver. The aurora, eternal firelight in the heavens, guiding the way. You run still, yet you are not breathless. The wind carries you. The earth welcomes you. Every step is light, like the beat of a drum in rhythm with the heart of the world. The stag moves ahead, glowing softly. Its form does not grow smaller, though it is always just beyond your reach. For it is not meant to be caught. It is meant to lead, to guide, to remind. The chase is the gift. The chase is the joy. The ancients knew that the hunt was not about capture. It was about the endless dance of life, the cycle of pursuit and renewal. The breath in, the breath out, the dawn, the dusk, the heart forever beating. In the fields of eternal hunt, there is no fear of ending, for each day begins anew. Each creature rises whole. Each chase is fresh and bright. This is eternity, not in stillness, but in movement. Not in silence, but in song. Now picture the feast that follows the hunt. Long tables beneath trees of silver leaves, cups filled with golden light. Platters of fruit that never spoil, all gathered around, hunters and hounds, stags and boars alike. Together they share, together they laugh. Together they rise again to run at dawn. Such was the promise told in myth and memory, that beyond the veil there would be no weariness, only the joy of freedom, only the laughter of the chase, only the wide open fields where souls could run forever. Let this image rest within you now. The meadow stretching endlessly, the stag moving ahead, graceful and glowing, the breeze upon your face, cool and kind, the horns calling gently in the distance, the sky alive with ribbons of color, folding and unfolding. You are light. You are free. You are part of the eternal hunt, not of conquest, not of capture, but of joy, of rhythm, of endless renewal. Rest in this meadow now. Feel its peace. Feel its freedom. The hunt will begin again at dawn. But for now, all is still, all is calm, all is safe. Let us drift onward. The fields remain, the horns grow soft, and the stars return, steady in their watch. Now rest as the endless meadows hold you, and the eternal hunt continues in the silence of your dreams.